All right. Who is presenting Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs?
Mayor and Council, we're going to have Dominique Wisby. And Dominique, I apologize if I'm butchering your name. She is going to be presenting. She's our Recreation Program Manager. She's going to be presenting this portion. And then we'll have Solandia do the Cultural Affairs portion.
All right. Thank you. Please go ahead, Ms. Wisby, and it is nice to see you. But we can't hear you.
There you go. Thank you for having me. Is this, I don't believe this is the first slide. We started with our goal, with our mission, vision, values, or mission and vision.
Let me check. This is the slide that was presentation that was provided.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to do goals and objectives?
Yes. That was the first.
Is that it there?
Yes, this is it. Okay. Thank you. So our Parks and Recreation vision is to provide affordable recreation, physical and cultural opportunities for all of the City of South Fulton residents, with a focus on families, youth development, adults, as well as building healthy communities. Our Parks and Recreation mission is to provide all citizens in the City of South Fulton with the highest level of programs, facilities, and services that will positively affect our vision of creating community. As it relates to our actual goals and objectives for fiscal year 23, it is our goal to complete the 5 to 10 year master plan, to increase public awareness and knowledge of recreational opportunities for our residents as well as visitors. And lastly, to enrich the lives of residents and build a healthier community. Again, connecting back to our vision. As it relates to our facilities, our goals and objectives would be to repair and provide recommendations for current and future facilities based on the master plan that is to be completed. Thank you. Goals and objectives continued relating to our programs and personnel, provide training and professional development for all staff to attend GRPA and NRPA trainings. There are tons of trainings throughout the year, from programming networks to conferences and seminars, certifications that our staff are able to obtain. So that's definitely top on our list. Next, it would be to increase staffing opportunities to further evolve our programming. As we know, recreation is changing, recreation is everything. So we definitely want to stay ahead of the trends and make sure that we are providing appropriate and up-to-date programming for our citizens. Next, it would be to develop and enhance our senior and teen programs. We are currently in Creel Park right now, launching our senior programming, and in fiscal year 23, we also plan to launch a teen program as well. Enhancing our indoor and outdoor programs, services, as well as offerings. Enforce performance metrics and audits and evaluations to denote the success and failures of programming. So that would really be to evaluate the success of our program. So we utilize Civic Rec, which is a good tool that we can use to, kind of make sure that we're in the know of what our participation numbers are. There are other ways that we can use performance metrics and evaluations to make sure that we are appropriately providing the adequate services for citizens as well. As it relates to programs and personnel, the next would be expanding programming opportunities by developing partnerships with neighboring agencies. So we have tons of agencies around our city that we can partner with to enhance our programming opportunities. Next would be marketing and communication, and that would be to increase public awareness and knowledge of the recreational opportunities for our residents and visitors. That's really important just because citizens need to know exactly what it is that recreation has to offer and exactly what it is that we do. Next would be enrich the lives of residents and build a healthier community. That's definitely really important. And lastly, developing a marketing plan to aid in advocating and outreach efforts for the department, therefore being able to assess our current operations and outlook. So a full marketing plan specifically for our department and for each program would be crucial to increasing our programming and participation numbers as well. Okay, so as it relates to our accomplishments in terms of facilities and amenities, like I stated earlier, we have reopened Creel Park, which is serving right now as our senior facility. That was in May of 2022. The South Fulton Tennis Center reopened November of 2021. We also installed new fitness equipment at Wilkerson Mill. And then also the installation of new windscreens at Sandtown Park. We had some great things happening this year related to our professional development. Again, like I stated, through NRPA and GRPA, there are tons of certifications that our staff can obtain. We had 3 of our staff members certify as pool operators to make sure that our pool is up to standards. We have the Certified Youth Sports Administrators certificate that was obtained by Patrick Swanson and Michael Duncan. We had our Maintenance Management School year 1 that was also obtained by 3 of our grounds and maintenance crew members. And then we also had the GRPA George Harris Leadership School year 1 that was completed by Deputy Director Stephen Maxwell. In terms of obtaining new staff, we have been able to add a communication specialist as well as an athletic specialist to better aid in the vision of the department and therefore increasing our overall visibility as well as oversight. In terms of our actual programming, the South Fulton Swordfish definitely are a hot topic for us. They won an award this year for the Georgia Diversity Club of the Year, really, really big. They received 2 gold medals in our GRPA state meets. And then also in the State Games of America, where they just returned from not too long ago, they obtained 9 gold medals, 2 silver, and 1 bronze medals. In terms of athletics, we have 7 newly designated athletic youth associations. Those are the Marquise Grissom Baseball Association, Sandtown Youth Association, Old National Youth Association, Play SSK, the Red Dog Unit at Welcome Park, the Champion Football Association. They're actually a soccer league. And then Legacy Leadership Academy and Chose U 365. So all of those youth associations offer baseball, football, soccer, one of those athletic opportunities. Lastly, facilitate a beautiful project with the Kula Care Foundation at Trammell Crow Park, and then also develop new programming standards to increase programming at all locations to better serve the community. So here you can see the proposed budget for fiscal year 2022, as well as the proposed budget for 2023. I think the biggest jump would be probably in the area of our personnel. We definitely are trying to get our personnel up to standard so that we can offer more services to the community.
Thank you, Dominique. I'll join our Parks and Rec staff in assisting with the personnel. So as noted, we understand that we're still trying to get back from our pre-COVID levels with staffing. We also understand that some of the URP projects have not been completed yet. So there's still a few of our facilities that are down. With that said, we're looking at increasing the programs. We know there's a strong desire to reopen the parks. And we're looking to have everything open on the weekends, having hours for both Saturday and Sunday hours in our parks. So with that, we are increasing our staffing. The other two areas that I'll focus attention on is in prior years, our tennis center was contracted out. So you'll see some additional positions that were added as the supervisor and supervisor assistant at the tennis center. And then also in our grounds maintenance that last year we tried to contract out a portion of our ground maintenance. And this year we're looking at part-time employees during the growing season to supplement our ground maintenance staff. So those are some of the ones that jump out as far as addition for both the part-time and the full-time staff. If we're going to move right into cultural affairs, then we will have Ms. Salandia join us.
Pause here, and I would like to see if we have any questions from our council on Parks and Rec. And while I wait,
I have a question. Would you like for me to go raise my hand first?
yes, I would love for you to raise your hand. And while I wait for the queue for everyone to get in the queue, I do want to take a moment again to just say a hearty congratulations to our swordfish. You all continue to make us proud and really model how much we do with so little here. And so, yes, thank you so much for that. All right, the first hand I see in the queue is Councilwoman Gums.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. Quick question. I did see a jump in contracted services under your particular category. Can you share exactly what services possibly that may be? Sorry about the background noise.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'm not sure where all the contracted services jump is. If you will allow me, I'll just forward that back out. I apologize for that.
Okay, that was my only question. So if you can let me know that when you get an opportunity, I'll bring it.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Willis.
Yes. Is this only for parks? I'm sorry, I came in a little late. Is this only for parks? This is not inclusive of parks and art centers.
That is correct. Parks and Recreation has one budget, and Cultural Affairs is in a completely separate budget.
Okay, and I know some of us have talked to you all, but we would really like to see those two departments separated out.
They are separated out, yes.
Okay, good.
Well, pardon me, Councilmember Willis. Don, I think she's talking about as standalone departments, not as two different budgets. So I have heard you, Councilmember Willis, and we will be bringing back a recommendation. I wasn't sure if this was the year to do it because right now with us not having a director, I wanted to look at making that transition in fiscal year 24.
I understand, but we put these parks, these art centers, and now we're about to bring on Wolf Creek. And how many parks do we have? We have what? How many parks online? 17?
17.
That is extremely a lot to put under one director. It really is. I mean, our parks are a handful alone. Trying to keep up with Sandtown, Wilkinson Mill, Burdett, the tennis center, all of the activities at Welcome Mall, and then you're gonna try to put the 2 art centers and the Wolf Creek Amphitheater under that same director. That is just going to be, I mean, I don't see how we can efficiently do it. I just don't. I mean, I think we're setting ourselves up for disaster. And when we talked about bringing on Wolf Creek with the previous park director, when Tony Phillips was here, we wanted to separate it out then. But he had some experience running Wolf Creek, and he asked to give him an opportunity. But when we did that, in some ways, the parks went neglected. And so I mean, from the past, I just don't see how that's going to work. And I would ask my colleagues, to really help push this effort forward to just separate these 2 departments out. I'll hear your recommendations, Ms. Sally Jones, but these departments, in my opinion, need to be separated out, and they need to stand alone. The other thing is, can you please explain to me what is, I have not received the MOU for MEG. I requested for it 2 days ago and still have not received it, but yet I have received a phone call from my park advisory with some grievances that was given to him from staff. And so my question to you, Mr. Toms, what is the problem with MEG and Future Seekers?
Councilmember Willis, I'm not aware of a problem. It's my understanding is both of those items should appear on the August agenda.
Okay. All right. Can you please forward those MOUs as requested to the council persons who represent those areas that those programs will go out of? I got a call yesterday with a grievance from my constituent that, and some of the grievances he alleged, came from staff. And I was caught off guard because he said he read the MOU, so he has information that I don't even have.
I'm not aware of that. I will see if we can get those all sent out by tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, I'll give you a call offline when we get off of here and tell you and share with you and Ms. Sally Jones the information that was shared with me.
Okay, thank you.
But I just was kind of caught off guard. All right, and I just wanted to know if that was the reason that maybe those contract services, if you could give us an itemized list for those contract services, that would be great. That would be helpful. And again, yes.
I was going to say, we do have on the agenda for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. I did see a agenda for, I guess, them to vote on the MEG project.
Well, they don't, the advisory board don't have any, I mean, advisory board don't dictate what the council does.
Councilmember Willis, we'll get you the proposal, and then again, you guys will see that on the agenda for the August meeting.
Okay, and thank you. And I just would like, if there are any issues with programs, I mean, we're here to listen and hear all, but I would like to know when those meetings happen. If there are grievances being given to the advisory board from staff, at least give the people who's over these programs an opportunity to come meet with the advisory board to give a full explanation of what's going on. And also please give respect to the council people who represent that area, so we won't be blindsided when we're called and questioned about things that we knew nothing, that we don't know anything about, because I haven't seen that MOU. I don't know what's in it. I mean, I know it's supposed to be voted on, but I will, if it's being shared with the public, I would have loved to have seen it.
And I was going to add, we had sent out the detailed budget information for all the departments. It was a PDF, and the breakdown of the purchase contracted services is on page 32 of 45. But we'll
Okay.
still send that out to you.
You're saying the MOU?
No, ma'am. I thought
Oh,
I got
the
a question
breakdown.
about
Okay.
contracted services, and it breaks it
Okay.
down what those
Okay.
contracted services are for. And that's page 32 of 45. And the title of that particular document was Department Details.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. And kudos to District 3 Swordfish team. I am glad this is Atlanta's is considered an inland area. They're not surrounded by beaches and a whole bunch of lakes. So I am glad that you all don't realize how big of a deal it is that we have a team that is in the inland area that is advancing in swimming. Where I'm from, swimming is learning how to swim is a life skill. It should be a life skill for everybody. But to be in this part of the demographic and we have award-winning swimmers is just really a big deal. And I'm very proud of them. And I hope that when we go through this master plan and complete it, we have funding to add more pool programs throughout the city and other sides of the area, because it is very important for our children and even adults to learn how to swim. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Rao.
Thank you for recognizing me. I know in one of the earlier presentations, there was discussion or mention of the pay and class study. I hope we look really hard at that in our cultural affairs area to make sure that we are competitive, because my quick dashboard view is that we may not be. And so I think it's really important. We have we have some tenured staff, and I want to make sure we are able to retain them. I don't know. I will say I don't have opinion right now about whether this is the time to segregate or not. I do know that the staffing, based on the NEPR and the studies that we've had done so far, that our staffing was significantly off in terms of us not having enough staff in our parks and rec. So I'm hopeful with these additions that we're getting closer to where we need to be. That's kind of how it started off with police. We had to staff up and the like. How close does this get us to the ultimate target? I can't recall the number right off. I see this would bring us to 51 funded positions. Can anybody speak to what that ideal number is based on our current facilities without adding anything else?
I'm not sure what the ideal number is. So that's 51 full-time and 34 part-time. So my understanding as the ideal number, it depends on when we do programming. If programs are 100% in-house coached and run versus partnering with associations, that's where a big part of the number is. The second part of the number is also on the hours of service. So as we continue to increase the weekend hours, the recreation specialists and some of these other positions would increase. But if you notice on the part-time side, that's where we have the camp counselors and those type of activities for those summer programs.
And if I could add, ideally it is based off of the demographic size of your city. And I believe the number, I don't have an accurate, but between 80 and 90 full-time staff would probably be the most appropriate for a city our size.
All right, is that all you have, Dr. Rowe? Dr. Rowell, are you there? Well, she's muted herself. I'm going to assume that's it. I'm going to go on to Councilwoman Williams.
So yes, thank you, Mayor. This may have been said, and I missed it, but related to the positions for a senior center supervisor and a senior service program supervisor, could I get some more clarification about what those positions are?
So it would be the equivalent to a supervisor and supervisor assistant. I'm not sure why it's titled that way, but it would be equivalent to our facility supervisors and our facility supervisor assistants.
And so what will these positions be doing?
These positions would be housed at Creel Park, and they would be responsible for all of our senior programming.
They will be housed at Creel Park because why?
Well, I know that earlier this year, Creel Park was designated as our senior facility. That's the direction that the previous director wanted to go. So they were housing all of the seniors at Creel.
All right, so that is not going to work. Creel Park cannot become a senior facility. One, because our city is too big and too geographically dispersed. We cannot ask seniors from all across the city to drive to Creel Park for senior services. Senior programming should occur at the park that is closest to them, that is in their district. And so that needs to be reworked because that is not acceptable and that cannot happen.
Well, I will also say that that doesn't mean that, this is what I'll say, that seniors will be, it's not like they will be excluded from any of our parks. They will have senior programs at all of the other locations as well. But I understand what you're saying.
Hey, Dominique, right. Can you talk about
even attempting to house? I don't know if you've seen the building in Creel Park, but there's nowhere to house 2 additional people. There's barely room in the office for the one person that is there. So one, I don't know where they're going to sit, but number 2, this whole arrangement is not acceptable and not workable, regardless of what the intent was in practice. If you want to have somebody to do senior services and to coordinate the programming for seniors, that's fine. There's no room for them to sit in the building in Creel Park, so they cannot go there. And we need to ensure that it is thoroughly understood that we will not be asking seniors to drive from all over the city to come to a park on Creel Road to participate in programming.
And Councilmember Williams, I certainly agree with you. And as was previously mentioned, I think that the expectation, at least my expectation, and pardon me, Mayor, for just jumping in, is that we would have programming at all of our facilities. As you mentioned, we're a city of 90 square miles, and we can't expect seniors to come from one end of town to another end of town. So one of the things that, and Dominique, I was going to ask you, can you talk about some of the senior programs that you've done in the past and, maybe highlight on some things that you may be expecting to do this upcoming fiscal year?
Yes, so the team that is currently at Creel Park, they have submitted program planners for the year with tons of activities, bringing the line dancing classes back, bingo, card nights, even going on field trips, taking the seniors on field trips, chair yoga. So, they've created a wonderful schedule of activities that don't only have to be limited to Creel Park, but they definitely have been working hard on programs to offer, not even starting in January. They want to, go ahead and start these programs now, things that were housed at other locations, going ahead and starting those programs, probably as soon as next month, but expanding them more in 2023.
All right, Councilwoman Williams, is that, are you finished with your line of questioning? I know.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to be clearly understood going forward that Creel is not going to be a senior center.
All right. I guess I'm asking because I want to chime in about that topic, but I wanted to make sure that were there other questions that you had beyond that?
No, that was all. Thank you.
Thank you. I do just want to circle back and provide some clarity. I am in no way arguing that Creel should be a senior center, but I do think that it is worth noting that this plan that was put in place by our parks director, who has since departed, so it's unfortunate he's not here to explain it, but some of it was actually in response to concerns from council and our citizens. I'm sure that Miss Avini, when she comes and does her portion, will be able to discuss this. And I do see the other hands. We're going to get back to the queue, but I think that this is just something that's important that we unpack for a minute. I don't know if you all recall, but when we were having meetings at Southwest Art Center and all of these seniors came and talked about line dancing classes that used to happen at Burdette Gym, that used to happen, at other places around the city, and we were trying to figure out a pricing model, and particularly a pricing model for seniors. Many other cities, and this is when we're talking about our budget, right? This is a budget consideration that we have to consider in other cities such as College Park, and then certainly in counties like Clayton counties. Seniors pay some nominal fee. Maybe it's $1 a month or $5 a month, and then they have unlimited access to all of the facilities. And we were trying to think about how to do that. Unfortunately, at the time, the only senior classes that were still being offered in our park system were happening through our cultural affairs department at Southwest Art Center. So we have one place in the city right now that offered a range of free classes for seniors, from yoga to line dancing to all of these things. And that program was grandfathered in from a Fulton County cultural affairs program. So it had a completely different governance, pricing structure for both the instructors and the citizens that took part in those classes. It was just completely different from our park system. And one of the things that I think that Mr. Landrum and Mr. Maxwell were trying to do is standardize our class offerings and the price of those classes throughout the system. So in an effort to bring some equity to the city, particularly while I think Burdette Gym was under construction, the plan was to provide some of the same sorts of classes that were being provided at the Southwest Art Center on the north side of the city under the Cultural Affairs program, to have some parks component do that on the south side of the city. Now, Councilwoman Williams, I share your concern about Creel Park because it sits in the midst of a very young, a set of communities that have lots of young children, and most of those communities, because of the way that they were built previously, do not have playgrounds, clubhouses, pools. They're surrounded by communities that don't have any amenities. And Future Seekers was a very popular in-person program that was being conducted in Creel Park. So I think that I say all that to say I think that we have to be cognizant as we are having these conversations. And I know that there are some plans to have a Fulton County Senior Center off of Stonewall Tell, but as we are thinking long term about how and where we provide programs for seniors, it's got to be standardized across both our Bureau of Cultural Affairs and our Parks and Recreation Department. And especially if we're thinking about splitting them up, then we need to decide who's going to house senior services so that services are offered across the city and that the fee structure for both the instructors and the seniors is the same, and that we are thinking about some sort of subsidized pricing for seniors that are on fixed incomes. Madam Satterjones or anyone in Parks, would you like to respond to any of those issues that I brought forth?
No, I don't have any other comment on those. Your comments.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Thank you, Mayor, for recognizing me. Thank you, Ms. Wisby, for your presentation. I just have a couple of questions here. For a city our size, how many pools do you think would be adequate? And do you think an auditorium, seeing that we have future Olympians and we have national championship teams here, to bring an actual national championship right here to South Fulton, would an auditorium?
So I don't know the according to statistics regarding aquatics, but from my professional standpoint, I would say 2 additional. I actually just spoke with Coach Reno maybe 2 days ago, and he was speaking about all the people that had been contacting him that wanted to join the team, but he just doesn't have the space to actually add them to the program. And we definitely don't want to turn any of the children away. So in my professional opinion, I would say 2 additional pools.
All right, now, what about a new deal for people who just like to get wet but don't want to necessarily just jump in the pool, like these splash pads? Is that something that's conceptualized?
I think our city needs a splash pad.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Judge.
Yes.
And I believe there are a few splash pads located in our master plan as well. I'm not sure what locations right now, but I do believe there are a few splash pads noted in there.
Right. And also along with the parks as well, as there has been, a lot of walking clubs that was existing, and there are some who formed, particularly since COVID. Where are we at looking at tracks and people, not just the walking trails, but actual tracks that people can go train on and run on?
So tracks are also in the master plan as well. Right now, we're kind of at a standstill with the school system, but we have reached out to Fulton County schools to build a stronger relationship with their schools so that, this upcoming track season actually can happen, and we'll be utilizing some of their facilities for that.
Awesome. Can you speak, or can Madam Jones, can you speak to where we are with the Parks Master Plan? What stage are we in with that?
Yes, so I mean, we've been meeting previously before, as you mentioned, the director left. I think the mayor made point of that we don't have a director currently in our Parks and Recreation Department. And so we had met previously with Mr. Carlos Perez, who is doing the master plan regarding the funding, because I think that's kind of where we are at this point. We've also been working with our financial advisor, Mr. Ed Wall. I think we've had set up some meetings with all the council members to go over what some of those options are to fund those proposed projects. So we haven't done anything lately since our director is not here, but I mean, as soon as, you know, we get that position filled, or most likely before we get that filled, we will be reconnecting with Mr. Perez.
Thank you,
But it
ma'am.
all comes down to dollar and cents at this point.
Absolutely. As a song said, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But I do want to, because I know you want that championship ring, and it takes money to build a championship. And I know you want the right person, the most qualified candidate. Should look within the ecosystem first. But do you have any idea of around what time you plan on filling that director's position?
You know, as you mentioned, as soon as possible, but we are in the process of doing our initial first round interviews. And so we will be making a decision on if we need to invite others. But again, I want to take as much time as I need. Even though the position is vacant, I don't want to rush. I want to get the right person in that job. Somebody, you know, that's going to be fully, you know, vested in that career area to make sure that we can bring in the best programs and services here to our city for parks and recreation activities.
I think you're extending the time that you need, and because we want you to bring home that ring, bring that championship. But we are looking within the ecosystem as well, correct?
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you so much. I yield.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Willis. This is your stuff.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. I just want to clear up a few things because I did attend the meeting with Ms. Head, who was running her line dancing program out of Welcome All Park. And she had been running her program out of Welcome All Park for almost a decade. And I do wholeheartedly agree with everything Ms. Williams said. First of all, I mean, if you're going to take a center and designate it as a senior center, I would think that that recommendation would come to this council. I do not agree with designating one center as a senior center because we need to have programs throughout our park and recreation center so that it can be convenient to our seniors. We have seniors that live on one side of town and don't want to drive all the way over to another side of town just to participate in senior activities. And I want to clear up one other thing. We do not have a senior service. That's not a municipality service. We have senior programs that fall within our park and recreation system, but we don't have a senior service. That's not a service that we are responsible for providing. That falls under the purview of Fulton County. And with that being said, maybe Ms. Sadler Jones, when you do hire a park director, you can talk with maybe the county to see if they can help augment some of the costs until they get that senior center built on Stonewall Tell, to see if they can augment some of the costs of trying to provide some senior programming in some of our facilities until we can get that center built. That will help us out a great deal, because what we are having a problem with is senior programming interfering or clashing with our youth programming. I have noticed at my center the most flexibility during the daytime. During the summer months and during after school is when we have a conflict, because the kids come to the center after school, and then in the summertime they have summer programs. But we also need consistent policies. There's no such thing as a grandfather in. When this city was created, we transitioned services, but to grandfather policies, I've never heard of that. If you're going to charge at one facility, then you should be charging at all of our facilities. Ms. Head and her group was very upset because they were being told they were going to have to start paying to have their senior line dancing program at Welcome All Park. But then we found out over at Southwest Art Center, they had a senior line dancing program over there and they weren't charging at all. I didn't understand that. She didn't understand that, because we are one park system. We're one city. So how can you be charging at one facility and then the other facility is free? And it's the same type of line dancing. I've also heard complaints from seniors at Welcome All that they're being told they can't have their card games. They're being kicked out of our facilities. Ms. Head was also upset because she felt like her line dancing team was being kicked out of our facilities. When I go there during the daytime to exercise, there is really no one in the facility. So I can't understand why they were kicked out of the facility that's being underutilized. The other thing, Ms. Sally Jones, what was very embarrassing to me, and I'm going to just be totally transparent, and I sent you the pictures because you're the city manager and I am supposed to address all my concerns to you. When I went into the workout room at Welcome All to work out, we have equipment in there that has never been replaced. The equipment is molded. Is worn. It has tears in the equipment. Even the track, when you're walking around, the pads are falling off the wall. And if we're going to charge our residents a nominal fee to use our facilities, we need to have our facilities up to par. We should not, it was embarrassing to me. And not only that, with those rusted equipment machines, what type of liability are we putting people at risk if something happens to them from working out on those rusted workout machines? So I just hope that we have that in the budget to replace all that equipment. Not only is it not safe, it's embarrassing.
Yes, ma'am. It's in the budget to replace the fitness equipment.
Okay, thank you. And then we also need to look at the ventilation in those workout rooms, because it was hot. And I'm told we're supposed to have air conditioning in those rooms. And for some reason, the air conditioning is not working in those rooms. And I'm being told that we can't regulate our air conditioning system. Anytime we want to turn the air conditioning up or down, we have to call in a company to turn our air conditioning up or down. So I would like for you to look into that, Ms. Sally Jones, because that makes absolute no sense for us to have to do that. The ventilation in those rooms, and also giving us, the city, and I'm pretty sure that we're not running air conditioning and heating efficiently if we got to depend on a company to come and regulate our thermostat. And so those are some of the things that I just wanted to bring to light during this budget. And I had hoped to see costs associated with, how we can better ventilate our systems, the cost to replace equipment, to make sure that we have consistent pricing across. If it's $5 a month at Welcome All, it should be $5 a month at Southwest. There's no such thing as no grandfather in rule. And we need to make sure we have programming throughout the city so our seniors can have convenience when they want to go and exercise and they want to participate in programs. Thank you so much. I yield.
All right. But before we go on, I would like Miss Avini to explain the senior programming that is happening at Southwest Art Center.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mayor, Council, Madam City Manager, Assistant City Manager. So before I jump into the Cultural Affairs presentation, what the Mayor asked me to do is explain the senior programming we have going on at Southwest Art Center. We currently offer 17 classes for seniors. All of our classes for seniors are free, and they are taught by competent working artists. We have lots of different types of classes that we offer to the seniors, and I can say that they love coming to the Southwest Art Center. They love the venue. They love being here. They love the times that the classes are offered. We offer our classes during the day. And to speak to Councilwoman Willis's comment, the only conflicts we do have are during the summer when we do offer our summer programming. But we also don't offer our regular classes during the summer either. We're always doing summer programming. Our senior programming is offered during our fall, winter, and spring 8-week sessions. And then we do have some programming during the summer. We do offer workshops that seniors can come to. Right now, we're in the middle of our quilt festival, and we're having master classes for those individuals. And we do have a lot of seniors that are attending those master classes. But basically, that is our senior programming. We offer 17 classes. We would like to offer more. However, we are limited because of our facility size. We have actually outgrown the facility here at Southwest Arts Center. We've been here since 2001, and we are currently doing more programming than we were pre-COVID and pre-transition. So we have definitely outgrown our facility. We would love to see an expansion of the campus in upcoming years. And that way we'd be able to offer more senior programming.
Thank you. And just as a point of clarity, some classes were also offered at South Fulton.
Correct.
Before it was closed.
Correct.
And where did the funding for these senior programs come from, and how did they come about? Because this has been happening since the inception of our city, correct?
Since we transitioned to the city, our senior programming was in place before we transitioned to the city.
And where can you talk about the funding, how it was set up?
Yeah, so that was a program that was called Living Out Loud. That was a Fulton County initiative to increase senior programming for all of the cultural affairs facilities or the arts and culture facilities. I believe that program was partially grant funded and partially funded through Fulton County.
Awesome. All right, thank you. I think it's just important that we have some of those facts, and that's why that it was through an arts program, and we currently have 2 arts centers, and
correct.
So why those free programs were being handled through those arts
cultural affairs, yes,
cultural affairs programs. So and we don't have any other art centers further south, and so that's how we ended up with this sort of 2-tiered system of senior programming.
Correct.
And we do have to think about how we expand that across the city, since it looks like South Fulton Art Center is not going to be coming back online. We will only have Southwest Art Center. I think that this speaks to why it might be important for us to keep parks and cultural affairs together until we can standardize some of these classes. But I did just want to put that out there so people did have an understanding. I will say that we did go through some of this back in May when we were having our themed work sessions. There was an entire presentation from Travis Landrum. Carlos Perez was present, and they talked about trying to offer this solution for our seniors. And we had multiple issues going on. One was that we didn't have a lot of spaces, right? South Fulton Art Center had been closed for asbestos abatement and all the things that were happening there. The Burdette Gym had been closed for air conditioning and all of the things that were, going on there. And so this was a sort of a stopgap solution. I think the other important distinction that you have mentioned is that the people that are running these senior programs are certified instructors that are paid from the cultural arts budget, which is very different from what was happening in our parks, where seniors were just coming in and saying, I want to do a class. I wish Mr. Maxwell or someone from NRPA was there, but one of the things that was discussed during that May work session was moving away from having people that weren't certified teaching classes, because that is not an NRPA standard, and that we're going to have uncertified individuals teaching classes. They would have to sign an agreement. They would have to sign a cost sharing agreement. They would have to sign liability waivers. And there was a general move in our parks away from them. That was actually one of the reasons, to the chagrin of many people in the city, that we were not able to sponsor the track team, because there were these NRPA standards that we were trying to move to when we brought in this new director. And we had done this audit of the previous parks director and the previous park system. It was shown, or it was revealed, that there weren't a lot of SOPs in place, or that they weren't being followed, or that we weren't following proper procedures. And so trying to figure out how we can expand programming across the city when we don't actually have the facilities is going to be a challenge for us to consider. And I do want to thank you for shedding light. We're going to get to your presentation right after these questions and comments from Councilwoman.
Did you call on me, Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, for recognizing me. I would like to circle back because Councilwoman Willis's comments had me take another look at the proposed personnel budget. And I'm not convinced that what we see here is adequate to be able to staff the parks completely and fully. I know that I have actually, as of last night into today, brought an issue to the attention of our city manager involving a staffing issue with the parks and the refusal of park staff to accommodate a resident who is paid $200 to have an event that may be rained out. And so I think that what I would like to see is I would like to see this budget revised so that we can have somebody at our parks so our residents are able to use them. I know that I would hope that we all can remember how we as a council have been approached by residents regarding their ability to access the parks, and we need to rectify it, and we should rectify it with this budget. So if we can please go back and put in the appropriate number of personnel to ensure that our parks are open, they are accessible, and that I never have to get another call from a resident because they have been refused access to a park due to our inability to maintain appropriate staffing levels. Thank you.
Mayor, may I respond to that?
Manager Jones.
Is it okay if I proceed?
Yes, please.
Yes, okay. So I did tell Councilmember Williams I wanted to reach out to that individual because I do want to know for myself specifically what happened. However, I do want to caution the council, we are in lost negotiations, and lost is our second biggest revenue for our city. And so, we have gone in and we have increased the personnel based upon, what comments and need for that particular department. I would just like to caution you that, if we continue to add additional personnel without really truly knowing what our revenues are going to be, I think that, would not be a good thing at this point. We can certainly come back at mid-year, after we've done our loss negotiations to see where we are. And if that is the time to add additional personnel, I think we should do it at that time. But again, I just want to caution you that, based upon, our current budget, where we are right now, we are trying to stay within, a good budget that we think is going to meet the needs of, our residents here in the city of South Fulton.
And I would suggest that you get with the finance team and do some revenue projections based on what we are hearing out of the loss negotiations to project a potential budget and figure out how we can staff our parks.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we have spent a number of hours in the conference room over the last several weeks doing. We did submit a budget projection for you for our revenues. But again, we won't know about lost until at least, another couple months.
And I understand that, but we cannot keep asking our residents to wait and see what lost is going to be, or what tax revenue is going to be, or what anything is going to be. Residents expect services, and we need to provide the services. So if that means that we have to dig deep to ensure that our residents are getting the services that they expect, given that they are the taxpayers, then that is what we're going to have to do. We are not going to continue to put off making decisions about the level of service provisions and asking residents to keep waiting and being frustrated because they cannot get what they are paying for.
Well, in response to that, council member, then that means that we may have to cut from some other areas. So as long as you all understand that.
Well, let's see what it looks like. This is why we have budget negotiations. We certainly should have the staff that is able to produce different scenarios for us to consider.
All right. With that, I do see Ms. Wisby, you have a hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to provide some clarity. So the citizen has been accommodated from the situation this morning. And it wasn't necessarily a staffing issue. It was because the hours of operation of Creel Park. It's not a facility that we rent out currently to citizens. And also it's not open on the weekend. So that was the issue. But since this morning, she has been accommodated and she will be in the facility.
All right, thank you. Dr. Rao, and then I really do want to move to cultural affairs, and then we can pick up this conversation after we hear the cultural affairs portion of this. But go ahead, Dr. Rao. You'll be the last person.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very quickly, I really want to ditto something our city manager said, because we have added money in every last one of these department budgets. Not just Parks and Rec, but every one presentation we've heard today. And as she said, loss is our second biggest pot of money. We won't even likely finish this before December, realistically, and that's if being real, December. And so this is we should almost plan as if it may not occur. And so I just want people to be very cognizant. Of course, we hope we get there, but it's a lot of moving parts.
Thank you for that, Dr. Rao. I do think it's important as we are in these budget negotiations, and I know that you're attending the loss negotiations. It is important for us to consider that, given where we started, where those negotiations started, where the county started, it is quite possible that we will have a reduction in that revenue. And it is not guaranteed. So that is something that we need to be building in all of our budget projections. And with that, Ms. Savini, we're going to let you get to your cultural affairs presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. First slide. It looks like it's our significant accomplishments for fiscal year 22. Although fiscal year 22 is not over, as you can see from the numbers, we're serving about a fourth of our population. Of course, our goal is to always reach more people, but we have our virtual content is still being viewed. People are still looking at that. We've had over 700 students for our classes that were offered during winter session and spring session of our fiscal year 2022. Our summer camp came back strong this year. Our end of camp productions were well attended by parents and friends. They loved those productions. The kids were excited, the parents were excited, and they're also excited about our summer camp coming up for 2024. And we did bring back our teen summer intensive. Although the numbers were not what we wanted them to be this year, we are rebuilding that program. So the word is getting out. We had a successful performance for that. And we had over 100 attendees to those performances. Our exhibitions are doing well. We will have 12 total exhibitions for fiscal year 2022. Everyone is coming back out to our art exhibitions. They are thoroughly enjoying them. The artists that are presenting are extremely talented. I can say if you have not been over to see our quilt exhibition, please do so. The exhibition is open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And our theatrical productions are still ongoing. Chicken and Biscuits, their first show is tonight. That is the preview. Opening night is tomorrow. If you haven't gotten your tickets, please do so. That show is selling out. And our departmental and civic meetings are ongoing. So far, we've had 40 departmental or civic meetings for fiscal year 22. Of course, the year has not ended, so those meetings are still ongoing. Next slide, please. As you can see, our goals and objectives haven't changed that much. We're always striving to be smarter, better, faster, stronger as a department and to reach more of our population. And outside the metro Atlanta area, we want to become the best and most well-known arts provider of arts for not just South Fulton, but city of Atlanta, city of all the cities surrounding South Fulton. We want everyone to know that Southwest Art Center and the Department of Cultural Affairs provides the best cultural and art activities that can be found within this area. Next slide, please. So this slide is our proposed budget. We are asking for more money, as is everyone else. Our purchase personnel, we're looking to add more personnel, so that cost has gone up. We're looking to add more contracted services as we grow our programming. As I said before, our programming is expanding. We are, what's the word I'm looking for? Busting at the gills at this facility. We are operating 7 days a week right now. And as programs go up, we need more people to teach those programs. So that's why our contracted services line has gone up. Supplies has gone up a little bit. Our total operating has gone up. Therefore, you see the total budget that we are asking for. Next slide, please. Our proposed personnel, we're asking for one more arts education coordinator. I am asking for a senior arts education coordinator, just to give the staff here, or just to let the staff here know that there is opportunity for advancement. Right now, our positions have been what they have been for years. As Mr. Tom said, we do have tenured staff that has been here for a long time. So I would like to give the opportunity for advancement because there is none right now within our department. We're also asking for 2 temp positions. They were moved to temp. I originally wanted them to be full-time positions, and those positions are a theater master electrician and a theater sound engineer. And the reason I'm asking for those positions is technicians are now moving to the film and television industry, and it's becoming increasingly harder to find technicians to cover events, productions, programming, anything that happens in the theater. We have had to scramble to try to find qualified electricians and sound engineers to cover our productions. So to avoid that and to avoid having no one, I was asking for 2 full-time positions, but Mr. Toms recommended that those positions be moved to a temporary position for budget reasons. Next slide, please. I believe that's it. Yes, that is it.
Thank you, Ms. Avini. I am waiting to see if there are hands. And I see in the queue, Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Savini, I know we had some capital improvements that need to be made at Southwest Art Center. Have they been addressed at this time, or what remains?
Well, the capital improvement that was on the books, and I believe this is what FY22 request when we proposed the budget last year. The chiller at Southwest Art Center Theater, I'm not sure where we are in that process. The chiller still needs to be repaired, that I do know. And we had a lighting proposal that was supposed to go out for an RFP. I have yet to see that RFP go out. That was a part of the FY22 request. Our FY23 request, lighting is included in that. And we do have 3 other requests for our capital improvements.
Yeah, the chiller is critical because it's warm.
Yeah, right now we're functioning
almost
on one
unbearable.
chiller.
Yeah, it's almost unbearable. I go to a lot of the productions over there, and especially if you have a crowd in there, it's very uncomfortable. So this needs to be like priority yesterday because the public frequents that building. Please, City Manager Jones, this needs to be addressed yesterday.
Also, the water fountains. Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Willis. The water fountains are an eyesore. We've been requesting that those water fountains either be repaired or at least covered up until they can be repaired, since we transitioned to the city in 2020. And there's still no work being done on this.
Thank you, Ms. Avini. We'll definitely follow up with our general services team.
All right, I have one question and just some closing comments. But my question is, how are we? I know that you talked about technical technicians, and by no means can students do all of the things that technicians can do. But we do have some really incredible performing arts schools in South Fulton, some technology schools in South Fulton. How are we working to bring students who are learning those things, lighting, sound design, videography, into our sort of our universe of programs and services?
Well, that's kind of a twofold answer, because our rehearsals, performances, auditions, all of those things happen during sometimes school hours and after hours, where students will need to be at home doing homework. We can't always use students. However, when we can, we do, especially for our teen artists program. We encourage our students to start learning the technical aspects of theater and theatrical productions. So we do utilize them, but it's difficult to try to bring students in for professional shows when the hours required are not suitable for students to be working those hours.
No, I get it, 100%. And I didn't mean to say like staffing students, but yeah, just thinking about
yeah,
being able to use our brilliant students and making sure they're getting like career pathways,
absolutely.
Nazi and different organizations like that. So I'm just going to make I'm going to make a few quick comments. I'm going to ask if I can't share my screen right now. Mr. Clerk, would you allow me the ability to do so? While we're waiting, I see Mr. I'll go ahead and let Mayor Pro Tem go while you're waiting to give me that ability. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor, for recognizing me. Mr. Lionel, thank you so much for bringing in your presentation, as y'all do good work with what you have over there already. And I look forward to the upcoming play. And I just wanted to ask, I know another center is needed, but to help you achieve your objective, would sound stages be something that can be conceptual?
Sound stages are always a possibility. Do we have any in the city of South Fulton?
Not currently.
They do exist. We don't own them, but they do exist.
Yes, I know of one that just opened, but it is not in the city of South Fulton.
Within our technical boundaries, is there any?
There are a few, Mr. Reeves. If you want to, we can meet offline, and I can introduce you to some of those people. We have some actually on Fulton Industrial.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
All right. And so I can share now. So I think that we should go back to something Dr. Rao was asking about, and it is the recommendations by the National Parks and Recreation Association, Recreation Parks Association, and it is 3.8 per 10,000 people, which would be roughly 90 people. We are currently, I think you said 45, 50, so we're at the lower quartile for that. But yeah, so we are less than half staffed as to where we should be. So as we think about that, building out the departments, I think that it's important that we, before we begin building new buildings and adding all these things, that we are making sure that we have enough staff for the infrastructure, the buildings and the facilities and the classes that we have currently. I think that's also important before we get too far down the road in creating like a separate division, because that's always, a new division always requires a new division head and new division management. And I think that if we're only halfway to our goal, I would rather see us use our salary, the money allocated to salaries, to be hiring more soldiers than more chiefs. While we're thinking about hiring our parks director, I would urge council, city manager Jones, to consider some of the comments from council that it's hard to interview and hire someone if we aren't clear about what they will be running. And it does seem like Miss Avini is a subject matter expert at cultural affairs. So perhaps we should just be focused on someone who would run our parks, and that they could work together without another layer of oversight on some of the things that parks and recreation and cultural affairs share, which is a calendar of events, senior programming, and consistent, comprehensive sliding fee scale for our seniors and for our working class families that are accessing these programs. Agreements for around liability and facility rentals that are standardized across all of our centers and buildings. The hiring and compensation of instructors. We currently, we heard today that we have one set of hiring policies and funding for arts instructors, and that's different than what we do for some of our recreation instructors, and the sharing of maintenance for our parks, facilities, and grounds. Some of the decisions that have been made, and I think it's just worth repeating and underlying, some of the decisions that have been made around Creel Park, around Wolcomall Park, have been because we just don't have a lot of fully operational facilities to choose from. And while we're not required to have a senior division, our bosses, the seniors, who vote us in more. You know, they have just a higher voter turnout than anyone else, and they are funding all of our services and salaries. They are asking for more senior services. So I think we have to be sensitive to that. And if Director Avini's model is working well at SWAC instead of trying to create something new and different, perhaps we just think about how identifying a central and south location where we can have some of the same programming that Southwest Art Center enjoys. And the last thing that I want to say is this is a long-term, courageous conversation that we need to have about how our community is being developed. Currently, developers can build hundreds of homes and offer nothing but a gazebo, you know, or maybe some playground area. So we know that we have the most available land in the city, the most affordable land in the metro area, and people are chomping at the bit to develop it. And we really have to think about how much we are allowing, how many homes and residences we are allowing to be built without building some sort of park or community structure for citizens. And what we are hearing from developers is that, you know, oh, if we build a clubhouse or if we build a pool and all of these facilities, that after a few years the residents can't maintain it. If that is the case, one of the things that we might need to be thinking about in our master planning and in our long-term planning is that for every so many hundred homes, we are building a city park or a city facility that we know we will be around 100 years from now to make sure that it is maintained, and we have a taxing authority beyond what an HOA might be able to do to ensure that those facilities are being maintained. What we see happening right now in Atlanta and a lot of other cities is that as people are moving back in town, the development is happening around transit, and then it's also happening around these legacy parks, Perkison Park, West End Park. They built an entire new, the Beltline itself is a park, and they built an entirely new West Side Park. So the city is investing in that infrastructure because the city is really the best at maintaining it long term. And because we are not driven, we are not profit driven, we don't build things cheap just to minimum standards, just to get a plat approved. We are building for generations to come. So as we are allowing our city to be built by these private developers, I think that how we are building out parks and community centers it is going to be very important. And with that, I will have us go on to our next presentation.
Next is Public Works, Mr. Valenzuela.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Antonio Valenzuela, I'm a Public Works Director for the City of South Fulton. I was hired about 4 years ago, and I was asked to build a Public Works team for the City of South Fulton that can provide a sustainable services for our residents to ensure that the maintenance of our infrastructure is done in a timely manner and ensuring that it is equitative to all throughout the City of South Fulton. With that said, I'd like also to mention to you all that this presentation is a presentation that comes along online with the prior presentation done in May throughout the retreat and subsequent meetings that we had on one-on-one with our council. With that said, I would like to start by listing and citing to you what the City of South Fulton Public Works staff has done to date in 2022 as our accomplishments. Starting with grant administration, we were able to secure $210,000 for the repairs on Stacks Road. We secured $1.2 million for LMIG for 2023, over $600,000 for the construction of Button Road at Sun Hotel. We also acquired an asset management system software, which is Choreograph. We acquired at PMCM a year ago, a software that will allow us to manage our projects. We began applying GIS and validating link miles and mapping projects throughout the City of South Fulton. When it comes to solid waste, the new program that we brought in 2022 within City of South Fulton staff. We have advertised the RFP for the solid waste, and we also held 2 cleanup events, one in the spring and the other one that is being already scheduled for the fall. Next, please. When it comes to right-of-way maintenance, as you can see, Public Works, we have obtained some of our vehicles, our trailers, lawnmowers, and we have increased our number of Public Works staff. Currently, the city maintains 190 miles of rights-of-way every 4 weeks. In the FIB corridor, we have instituted 45 miles right-of-way at every 2 weeks with City of South Fulton staff. We instituted a maintenance of 16 miles of state routes at every 3 weeks, such as Roosevelt Highway, Old National Highway, Campbellton Road, Cascade Palmetto, Campbellton Fairmont. We enhance weekly maintenance of 2 roundabouts and the Cascade Road medians. We instituted a little pickup of higher demand areas for 20 miles at every 2 weeks. Next, please. When it comes to transportation CIP projects, capital projects, in conjunction with the Georgia DOT, we were able to complete the Campbellton Road, Boat Rock, New Hope roundabout, much needed project for the Santan community and for the area. All right, thank you. We also were able to install the Santan artwork at the roundabout, an artwork that it was created throughout the years by the Santan community. The Button Road at Sun Hotel dual roundabout is still under construction. It is due to be completed by December 2022. As you can see by the pictures, the amount of utility work that we have to do at that location. We have cables, we have gas, telephone lines, power lines, and so on. We finally completed all the utility work, and our contractors should be going back to full force to complete the project, hopefully earlier or before December 2022. We also completed with Georgia DOT at no cost to the city of almost $800,000 repairs and replacements of 12 locations for guardrails. Under T+1 within City of South Fulton and staff, we completed 16 miles of resurfacing for years F20 and 2021. We're very proud to announce that no other city has done that magnitude of resurfacing throughout their cities, either Georgia DOT. When it comes to capital projects managed, we manage 3 bridge replacement projects, 17 intersection improvement projects, 4 sidewalks and pedestrian projects, 2 safety and traffic calming projects, and 1 full depth reclamation project. Next slide, please. When it comes to stormwater, we also completed the 2020-21 annual report to EPD. We completed about 60% of the infrastructure inventory. Our goal is to complete at 100% next year. and we are on the schedule for the annual report for EPD. When it comes to the streetlight master plan, the draft is ready to be presented to council, and it should be coming to you at the next available council meeting. Next slide, please. Our goals. It looks like we jump. Okay. We should be going into the public works goals and objectives.
Okay, goals and objectives?
Yes. And the transportation.
Is that it?
Yes. Our goals for transportation for 2023 is mitigate congestion and improve safety. On-site traffic engineer, initiate a corridor study at Campbellton Road in conjunction with ARC and Georgia DOT to address mobility along the corridor. Installation of no truck flashing signs to inform truck drivers of restricted routes throughout the city. Installation of 28 solar power speed limit radars throughout the city. Update the traffic signal infrastructure. Better synchronization of our signals and quick responses to incidents and accidents. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right. As we continue with the goals and objectives, our services, how do we plan on doing this? 24/7 traffic engineering support to include the FIB. Right-of-way maintenance. We want to maintain 212 miles at every 2 weeks iterations a year. Street sweeping. We want to ensure that the street sweeping throughout the city of South Fulton is done Monday through Friday. Dirt roads. We want to ensure that we do the dirt road maintenance 4 times a year. Little pickup. We want to do every 2 weeks instead of doing every 4 weeks. State routes. We want to continue with the 16 miles at 3 weeks iterations. And we want to continue doing the Cascade Road medians and roundabouts that we're going to have, that we have 2 now, but are outcoming 2 more for us and doing in a weekly iterations. Next slide, please. Continue with capital improvement program. As I mentioned before, we have 3 projects: the Old National Highway sidewalks, the New Hope sidewalks, Cochran Road over Camp Creek bridge replacement. Those are capital projects that have federal funds. We want to let the White Mill full debt reclamation utilized in 2022 LMIC funds. For T+1, we are on the schedule to let projects to construction, such as Butner Road over Camp Creek bridge replacement, as well as the intersection improvement and the road approaches to the bridge. Inland Road, Camp Creek tributary culvert replacement, the Danforth Road sidewalks, Inland Road sidewalks, Butner Road at Union Roundabout, Campbellton Road at Stonewall Tail intersection improvement. Next slide, please. Continuing with T+1, the projects that are going to be let to construction is also Old Fairmont Road, a Union Roundabout, Stonewall Tail, a Union Roundabout, Roosevelt Highway, Washington Road Roundabout with Georgia DOT, Butner Road, State Road 92 Roundabout with Georgia DOT, the Flat Shoals Road ATMS, the Buffington Road upgrades with Georgia DOT. Moving along with the implementation of T+2, we would like to initiate the construction of shovel-ready projects, such as Fairmont Road Phase 2, which encompasses sidewalks, bridge replacements, and intersection improvements. The Cochran Road over Deep Creek Bridge replacement, the Deboone Road over Deep Creek Bridge replacement as well. And we would like to initiate concept developments and design on 30 projects that encompasses between sidewalks, bridge improvements, intersection improvements, and resurfacing projects. Next slide, please. The transportation, the proposed budget. Personnel, you're going to see the breakdown on the next slide. An increase of personnel. And where are we increasing? Currently we have 18 members of the public works team. We want to bring 2 more administrative coordinators that will help out with all the details that we got to go with construction operations, traffic operations, customer services, procurement, and so on. We would like also to increase heavy equipment operators 1 more, so that we'll have 3 heavy equipment operators and increase a crew for maintenance workers. We like to bring 3 more crews for maintenance workers. That will do a total of 25 employees for transportation and public works. Next slide, please. When it comes to solid waste, our goal is award solid waste provider contract, hold 2 cleanup events like we've done it before, update and adopt the solid waste ordinance, develop and seek adoption of solid waste master plan, and sweep selected roads with curb and gutter from Monday through Friday. Next slide, please. The current personnel for solid waste is, we'd like to increase 2 heavy equipment operators that will be for the street sweepers, and an administrative coordinator that will provide all the support for solid waste. That will do 4 people. Next slide, please. If you don't mind going back into the budget, we'll skip the budget a bit. Right. As you can see on the purchase contract services, our budget has not increased. It's about the same. But the reason why it's not the same, it's about the same, is that the approach that we're taking, it's much more productive for the city. We spread the services through different ways that the city can be served properly and have services 24/7. When it comes to supplies, we have a slight increase right there, and that supply is due to the addition of FIB, when the bulk of the money right there is for street lighting. Next slide, please. Next slide. Right there. Go back to stormwater, please. All right, right there. Stormwater.
Okay, Antonio, which one? I have solid waste.
Yeah, you have it. I don't know why it went in different directions, but right there, please.
Okay.
Yeah, stormwater. As mentioned before, our goal is to complete 100% of the stormwater infrastructure inspections, and then initiate the development of a master plan. What it does to us is, instead of doing a master plan and they have to inventory everything, we went ahead and inspected and ensuring that we're going to complete 100% of our stormwater infrastructure system that's failing at different locations. So with that on hand, we're going to have a much better master plan for stormwater. When it comes to bridge maintenance and engineering, we like to let the ITB for the bridge maintenance that's done and inspected by DOT on a bi-yearly basis. Now we're going to be in a position to advertise that project and ensure that our 50 structures are maintained in accordance of GDOT recommendations. Others, we like to adopt the street light master plan, seek grant funding for sidewalks and capacity projects, implement electronic permitting for utility permits to decrease approval from 3 weeks to 1 week. Currently, that function is coming to the city of South Fulton. we just interview for personnel, and we should be having somebody on board. And our goal is to have it all electronic permitting. And lastly, for our staff, is to create opportunities for staff advancement. As we're hiring people, I believe that we have to create opportunities for our staff to succeed and being able to move up the ladder. How are we going to do this? Providing them perhaps crew leader positions, ensuring that the staff that are in full attendance to the jobs, staff that have certificates for different purposes. So in other words, create them opportunities so that our staff can stay at the City of South Fulton. We want to invest on them. We want them to stay with us. We want to create a culture that when somebody retires, when somebody leaves, that we have proper personnel that can take those roles. And those roles are only going to be taken with giving opportunities to our employees and giving them more education and providing them the full support that they need. Next slide, please. General services. Our accomplishments. Facility maintenance improvements. We completed, we're going to complete the installation of solar panels at Fire Station 6. It's underway. We are just pending approvals, and the installation should be forthcoming soon. The Southwest Art Center, we completed the LED retrofit completed, and there was anticipated savings of 47,100 kilowatts in energy annually. We completed of approved URA projects, such as the Sandtown roof replacement, the Sandtown HVAC that's currently underway, the Welcome Mall Park main roof repair and wet glazing, the Burde Gymnasium HVAC, utilizing CDBG funds, this Southwest Art Center chiller replacement that ironically was discussed earlier. It is underway. It is contracted. It's just issues that we have with materials and delivering. Our contractors having a hard time to get the proper materials on time. The Creel Park Pavilion roofing and HVAC installation for community center. The all national concession facility improvements. Concession stand roofing. The restroom doors and exterior. Next slide, please. Continue with the facility and accomplishments for 2022. The fire station number 1, 4, and 7, the generator replacements. All the generators are in place. We're just seeking for windows, coordination with power companies so that we can do the proper installations from generators to the power companies. Currently, we've done one. All of them are in place. So it's a matter of scheduling and having a window from power companies, and we'll be completing those items. Fire stations number 1, 4, 5, and 7, and 8. Those are for kitchen upgrades. Fuel stations redesign awarded for fire station 4. Our goal is to get the design completed this year and go to next year for revamping that fuel station. Fire station 3, the retaining wall construction is completed. Tremont Crow exercise equipment upgrades and restroom painting was completed. The South Fulton Tennis Center, tennis courts replacement and installation of ADA access pathway. The ADA access pathway is underway. We're hoping to be completed in the next couple of months. The Delano Park fence replacement, the Canine Dog park metal door replacements as well. Next slide, please. When it comes to fleet and maintenance, as you can see, we have purchased a vehicle and equipment throughout the city. But if we want to concentrate on what we got for public works, we acquired 2 street sweepers that is coming to us anytime. We received already 2 F-250s, 2 F-150, and it's underway 1 skid steer. Next slide, please. The goals and objectives for 23. We'd like to implement data-driven processes to provide transparency as it relates to the status of work-related and repair update. What we want to do is we have acquired Cartograph. It's an asset management work order system. So this year, we should be able to implement everything through that system and address and identify all the needs on our facilities. Lower maintenance costs, eliminating downtime and extending the life of equipment. How we're going to do that step? We have a facility mechanical, electrical, and plumbing (MEP) inventory to provide preventive maintenance contract for all facilities to decrease reactive calls. Assign 2 maintenance managers for the 37 facilities to improve quality of services. Currently, we don't have one. The prior maintenance manager resigned about 3 months. We just made an offer to one, and we're still seeking to hire one more. And the goal is to split the main facilities to one maintenance manager and provide the other one to the lower facilities. Promote sustainability to move the city of South Fulton to becoming more environmental conscientious, increase EV charging stations, and LED lighting upgrades. Next slide, please. Continuing with with the goals for facility maintenance, implement the capital maintenance and renovations. We have Sandtown mold remediations, Sandtown Park illumination, floor replacement and ceiling refurbish, welcome all trash repairs and roof replacements over the pool area, the Cliftondale multi-use facility and South Fulton's Art Center, future use assessment, roof improvements for park pavilions, Tremor Crow, Cedar Grove, Canadian Dog Park, bay door replacements for Fire Station 4 and 7, HVAC replacements for Fire Station 3 and 5, and manage project with transparency, implement project management process allowing consistency reporting capabilities, a streamlined project management process using Yorigo software. What this software is going to do for us is we're going to be able to provide the status, the issues, schedules, and scope of services to all of our projects. And we hope to launch this new software through our website for Public Works so that at any given time, mayor, council, or residents will be able to see the status of the project, might be in transportation, might be in facilities. Next slide, please. Fleet operations, enhanced maintenance and repair services for over 340 vehicles through efficiency and cost-effective practices to ensure minimum downtime. Optimize fleet management and repair through the use of Cartograph. Is another asset management tool and work order system that's going to be used for facilities, fleet, and transportation. Provide training to staff to increase in-house repairs. Manage the purchase and distribution of fuel. At this point, the design and construction of the fuel station upgrade at Fire Station number 4. Promote sustainability to move the city of South Fulton to becoming more environmental conscientious. Develop plan to purchase of electric vehicles. As we all are aware of, electric vehicles are coming on, and we have heard from you, Mayor, and City Council, and that's one of our goals as well. Evaluate fleet inventory and streamline process of aged vehicles to decrease maintenance costs. That collection of maintenance costs, implement surplus program. Currently, we have a good number of vehicles and equipment that needs to be surplus. Next slide, please. All right. When it comes to the budget for general services, we slightly increased to 1.2. I will discuss. Can you show that increase a bit more our personnel for general services? For 23, we have requested a land administrator. We believe that the city needs to have one. We have also requested an additional fleet maintenance mechanic. We only have two. We will need one more to help out with the additional needs that we have for transportation. And that will bring us from 10 to 12 employees. Next slide, please. When it comes to the purchase contract services, it goes from 1.4 to 1.7, increase to with the needs for our facilities. And in this scenario, it's more for fuel that we need. And the supply stays the same. Next slide, please. That concludes the presentation, and I'm here to respond to any questions that you may have.
All right, I am opening the floor for questions. Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you, Mr. Venezuelas. One of the things I sent this to you via email and Ms. Sally Jones last week. And I didn't see this. It almost appears like you need like a project manager that can keep us updated on moving projects. It just appears that you give us one date that something is going to happen, and I know we're dealing with supply and demand. I know we're dealing with pandemic fallouts, but it just seems like we're having a hard time moving the projects in the city. You know, I don't want to wait another 10 years for another roundabout to get going. Like we wait, it took us over 10 years to get the roundabout on Stonewall Tell and Butner Road. We got roundabouts that need to be in production. We got sidewalks. It just seems like I feel like I don't never know when anything is going to happen. And I just would like to see more of a timeline and updates given when things don't happen or when things are anticipated to happen. The other thing is I would like to see a schedule on how often we cut grass in our right-of-ways. I know it was supposed to be happen more frequently, but I would like to see a schedule. So if people want to do cleanups, you know, they'll have better time on when they want to do their cleanups around the grass cutting. I also would like to see a schedule for street sweeping on when they're gonna sweep our streets and how often and where they're going to be. The fourth thing is whatever happened to we had this fancy van that was supposed to be riding around addressing our litter issues, and I haven't seen that van in almost a year. Do we still have that van?
Yeah, if I might respond to your questions, yes, when it comes to projects and transparency and providing schedules and when it's going to occur and so on, yes, for 2023, as you can see on the presentation, there will be all the projects on T+1 are going to construction. So in the past, we didn't have a specific project manager for public works. We have hired a deputy director for transportation. So he's handling now all our projects with our consultants. We have acquired a year ago a software that's going to allow us to put everything that you need that you'll be able to see at any time after full implementation. So there will be no misconception on when a project is going to go or what are the issues or what are the delays. So that software will be updating every single project, the schedules, the status, issues on the project, costs on the project, and so on. So that part, I'm very confident that going forward, you're going to see a difference on transportation for facilities and transportation projects. We have bumped that up. We have acquired the proper software, and that's coming along. Your next question was schedules for right-of-way maintenance. On our current contract, we have schedules that are maintained for 190 miles every 4 weeks. We do have schedules. We have posted that on the website. Our goal for 2023 is to maintain 212 miles at every 2 weeks. The schedules will be posted, and we're going to be doing that every 2 weeks. So that way, our roads should look much better. Litter should be much better. Much better. We should have less litter. And when it comes to the street sweeper, it's a new program. In the past, it was contracted out first twice a year. It didn't make sense. 4 times a year, it didn't make sense. We have acquired 2 street sweepers. We're about to hire 3 more heavy equipment operators, and our goal is to sweep the streets that have curb and gutter, non-subdivision roads, curb and gutter roads at iterations from Monday through Friday. Those street sweepers goes at that speed of from 3 to 5 miles per hour. Our goal is to sweep the streets on a night schedule, and we are in the process of getting proper schedules and routes on how we're going to handle street sweeping for the city. As soon as the street sweepers are delivered to us, we will be announcing those to you all and most likely bringing to the city. Unfortunately, it's like anything else that's going on in this industry. The backlogs on materials, equipment, it's unpredictable. It's not just for the city; it's all over. But we are doing all possible so that items that we have authorized purchase are being delivered to us as a first service for the city. With regards to the van, it's through the current contract was part of that was to have a clean team, a little pickup team. But as you can see, there's only much we can do when we don't have an inclusive type of contract. But it is there, but the other actions that the city take with city employees and other contractors is to do 20 miles of little pickups for specific areas that are issues that have issues with litter. And also, as I mentioned before, we increase the right-of-way maintenance for state routes at 3 weeks. That's a separate contract that we have with another vendor. Is doing a decent job for the city, and as well as the landscape work that we do now with other contractors for in a weekly basis. As you can see, on Cascade Road looks much better. The runabout Campbellton Road, Boat Rock looks better. The runabout Cascade, Palmetto Ridge Road, Cedar Grove looks better. We will have a new roundabout on Butner Road, Sun Hotel. We will do the same thing. We will maintain it every week. We will have another roundabout Washington Road as well. So there are things that are coming up, and I think with the additional support that we're getting and contractors that we got, we're going to be able to provide those services at a much better level of services than before.
I just would like to see some schedules, Mr. Venezuela. Like, I mean, if that little truck is still available and still roaming the streets, where is it going? Like, I never see it in my district. I appreciate the additional litter cleanup in the right of ways. But I just need to see schedules. I mean, I don't see things. I'm not saying it's not happening. I just don't see it happening. And I know the projects are not moving like it should. And I know, we're dealing with, you can't control supply and demand issues, but we do need some type of project line.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. You will have those schedules, as I stated before, through the new software that we have. All that information will be out.
I yield.
Thank you, Councilman Willis. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Yes, thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. I have one question, Mr. Valenzuela, and thank you for your presentation, by the way.
Yes, sir.
The other day in your presentation, you said that the sidewalks for Old National was fully funded. You said it's federally fully funded. Can you bring more clarity to that, sir?
Yes, the Old National Highway, phase 2 of the project that starts at Flat Shoals Road and ends at Jonesboro Road or State Route 138 is funded with federal funds. And it is, we have updated those funds at the prior call for projects, ensuring to increase our federal funds in accordance of the latest estimated costs, as well as we have requested in this budget the 20% match that for each phase that the project will require. That is the same case for any federal funded project. As you know, we will have to invest up front and then we'll receive reimbursables back from Georgia DOT.
So it's 80%, 20%, 80% federal, 20% municipal, correct?
That's correct.
So we've been saying for 5 years that they was fully funded. And now we're saying they're only federally funded. But now that the escalation costs of the cost of materials went up, we have to go back and ask for more money. But the first...
No, when you put the 80% federal funds and the 20% match from the city, we're 100% federal, we're 100% funded.
Okay, so we have been 100% funded, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes.
Has the right-of-way acquisition phase been completed?
It's underway and we're looking to complete by May of next year.
So in 5 years, we have not done the first step in acquiring a right-of-way acquisition when it was 100% funded.
No, it's not 5 years. The right-of-way acquisition, we got to wait until the state provides us the go. We received the go early this year, I believe, when we executed a project frame agreement for right-of-way acquisition. And right after the Georgia DOT provided us the go, that's when we started acquiring the rights of way.
I mean, because that's what I want to be clear, because we've been telling people that they have been, we've been telling people that we have been funded and that they're coming and that they will be underway, and still we're here to this point. As at this point, it just needs to start. And but however, I'm gonna digress from that. But I also had a request for yourself, me, and Madam Jones to go walk the Burdette to see all of the URA improvements and to see what was done, and that has still yet to be done.
On Burdette Park, we have completed we have installed a new HVAC system. We've done the punch list. We have completed the wall that was needed for the new media center for you. What's left, I believe we don't have much left for Burdette at this point of what it was committed from the URA. Actually, that section was done with CDBG funds. But I definitely, I'll be glad to walk with you and meet at the center and see if we have left anything pending.
Oh yes, and I would like Madam Jones to be there as well.
Sure.
Yes, because there's some things that need some clearing up.
Oh, absolutely. There's all of our venues are in need to. You name it. We have inherited not necessarily the best facilities for the city, and they need a lot of work.
Oh no, I got you. But last is public works, and transportation is on the public works. What percentage of the projects or out of the budget would you say are transportation versus actual public works?
Well, it depends how you look at. If you look at public works, all municipalities throughout the nation, they look at different aspects. Some of them have different divisions on transportation, some of them capital, some of them planning, some of them stormwater, and so on. Right now, we just started to hire more people. We just hire more people so we can put more emphasis, perhaps, to transportation, more emphasis to stormwater, more emphasis to maintenance and operations. And that's what we've done. So at this point, we have more on the budget. When it comes to employees, we have more for maintenance. And we have a specific manager now for capital projects, T+1, T+2. And we also have, as you know, we have consultants working on those projects.
Yes, absolutely. And just one last and final question. Sidewalks usually fall under which category? Transportation or public works?
Sidewalks is a capital project. It can be also a maintenance project. It depends if it's a smaller project or a bigger project. But as you can see, all national highway sidewalks, New Hope sidewalks, Danforth Road sidewalks, Inner Road sidewalks. So those are capital projects.
But usually they fall under transportation, correct?
Yes.
Public works.
I just want to get to know.
Public works is a section of public works.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you finished, Mayor Pro Tem? He's muted himself, so I'm going to go on to Councilwoman Gums.
Thank you for recognizing me. Mr. Valenzuela, I think I have to agree with Councilwoman Willis in regards to having somebody to actually manage the requests that are coming in and providing an update to the council. I know me specifically, I send quite a bit of emails checking for an update or things of that nature. And also residents putting information in C-Click Fix and not necessarily getting an update as far as status wise and things of that nature. So I do think it is, I guess, more efficient to either provide us with some type of status update where you have a project manager or someone managing those responses versus you having to go out and seek and provide an answer, et cetera, et cetera. So that might be something also that you may want to look into as far as budget wise or assigning someone. And also to the litter control. Now, my understanding was that an RFP was placed, correct, to have someone that would enforce our right-of-ways as far as litter control. Am I correct in saying that? And that it would be almost every 3 weeks versus the 4 that we're currently on?
You stand correct, Councilwoman Gomes, and you stand absolutely right when it comes to responding better. And my goal for Public Works is to streamline all those processes so that I can go directly to the source and get things done. When it comes to right-of-way maintenance, we have a recommendation coming to you to maintain 212 miles with a detailed scope of services to be maintained at 2 weeks in lieu of doing 4 weeks. And when it comes to the projects, the schedules and so on, that will be resolved. We finally acquire a software where we're on the training. We have the staff now being trained on that particular software. Our goal is to be transparent, provide information to you all when it comes to all our projects. In the past, we didn't have the manpower, we didn't have the software, but now we are. And our goal is that coming soon, that you will have all that information, that you will not need to ask anything.
Okay. Because also too, that project manager can act as, I guess, maybe a liaison between the state as well. As far as, letting us know when certain things are in delay or however the case may be that they can follow up versus you having to, just do everything. I just think it's probably more efficient that way to get, somebody to kind of act in between to help us, move things along.
Absolutely. I echo your thoughts, and that's what we're doing.
Okay. One other thing too is, do you plan to add any portion of Camp Creek to the state route plan as far as, cleaning up the right of way or even on South Fulton Parkway?
So let me announce something. When it comes to, I have a lot of reservation to put our staff in jeopardy, especially on Camp Creek Parkway, South Fulton Parkway, and FIB. Those major parkways, it's a lot of liability for the city, but I will ensure that going forward, I have another company that actually providing little pickup a really good price that we can extend or expand some areas of Camp Creek Parkway. I don't want to take ownership because the state does those things, but as you know, there's a lot of issues, especially on the ramps at the intersections of Camp Creek Parkway along perhaps Butner Road, Inner Road, Merck Road, and so on. Perhaps at least to consider that we can blow those intersections, the islands, and so on, to alleviate the efforts. But definitely, we don't want to take work away from Georgia DOT's contractor. We are already doing 16 miles at every 3 weeks for them. I think we've done a really decent job increasing that iteration on the right-of-way maintenance and alleviating litter.
Okay. So the contractor that's actually doing the right of way cleanup for the state, there's nothing that we could, I hate to use the word piggyback off of, but just to be able to make sure that, there's not a duplication of services, but almost like something to back us up so we won't be in such, it doesn't look so trashy and we won't be getting, calls from residents saying that we need to clean up the right of way, et cetera.
It's also one of the goals is also as we gonna increase one more crew for us. Then if we bring our all-inclusive program that we are offering for the city, we're gonna have more flexibility on going to certain areas without necessarily have to forget our main core services. But now we will have an opportunity to do ad hoc projects that we started doing already this year, but it will be a hybrid approach between some of the contractors that we can test them on specific areas and also do some of our in-house for ad hoc projects to handle those situations that you have.
Okay. And
I wanted to touch also when it came to Cyclifix, my intention is we'll receive the calls and doing this once and the key performance indicators, safety first, regular maintenance second, and then capital. But we would like to ensure that we receive the call. I don't necessarily want to have to send it to X, Y, and Z. I want to go directly and get it done, get it resolved, and not have to continue increasing the work orders that we have.
Okay, so you're saying pretty much that those major corridors like Camp Creek, South Fulton Parkway, Old National, et cetera, are liabilities for our staff. That's why we haven't pursued moving forward with cleaning the right of ways in those state routes.
Right, it's only South Fulton Parkway. You have a median right there. The speeds are 55 plus. Camp Creek Parkway and South Fulton Parkway, Camp Creek Parkway.
Old National?
No, we're doing Old National now.
Okay.
So right now we do Old National Highway. We do Cascade Palmetto. We do Campbellton Fairburn Road and the other Campbellton Road.
Okay.
And plus Roosevelt Highway, I'm sorry.
But Camp Creek is considered a larger liability.
Right. Yes.
Okay. All right, I understand. I hope you can look into that. And my last question pretty much is, are you saying that the RFP has been completed and that we're ready to move forward with an awardee? And if so, what's going to happen with the clean litter crew or the city staff that's actually working the plan?
So the intention is to do, we already identified 212 miles, the beginning and end. We already have the proper scope, what's going to encompass from litter pickup, cutting the grass, edging the grass, and providing some weed litter control at every 2 weeks. So that's for 212 miles. That is done by a contractor. The other 45 miles within the Fulton Industrial Boulevard is done in-house. So right now we're doing that every 2 weeks, that area as well. We're doing from right-of-way maintenance, pothole repairs, inlet top replacements, sign signal upgrades, replacements, and so on. So we want to keep that section and the City of South Fulton staff, leave the rest with bigger equipment that they have, specialized personnel that they have, supervisions that they have, pay their own gas, pay their own facility where they need to stay. We don't have to worry about those things, but just ensure that they do provide the services. So when a need for doing other services, we will be getting in. So we'll be working as a hybrid approach.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks again for your presentation, Mr. Antonio. I want to talk a little bit about your plans for these dirt roads, these unpaved roads. Overall, I saw that you mentioned in your schedule that we're probably going to increase from treating every 2 years to twice a year to 4 times per year.
Yes.
Is that just for the major ones? Because I know we have some minor ones as well in District 4, even one I sent to you today, that they basically said they haven't been treated since we became a city. So I sort of want to get an idea of which one would qualify for being treated by us and which one does not. And
So-
also, go ahead. I'll give a follow-up.
Okay. So right now, staff is inventorying, physically walking those gravel roads that we call. We have about almost 30 miles. Some of them we close. Some of them they were never touched. Some of them crosses multiple jurisdictions. So we're inventorying properly. So the plan of action is to do every 4 weeks all the gravel roads and come up with a dust abatement program as well at every 4 weeks. We have a company that can do those services as well as we will be able to do in-house as well. Just buying from them the materials, and by us having the proper equipment, we should be able to maintain that dust abatement on those roads. We will not leave a road that requires maintenance throughout the city of South Fulton.
Okay. And updates on the roundabout. I don't know. I apologize if you spoke about this before, but I've been recently asked about the roundabout at Cedar Grove and Rivertown, as well as the roundabouts at Jones Road and Highway 92, and if we're going to pave Jones Road between Highway 92 and Hall Road to allow for easier access to the schools, rather than everyone who don't want to put their car on the dirt road to be going down at the start of Hall Road at 92.
Yes, sir. The roundabout Cedar Grove and Ridge Road is being scheduled for next year. Is one of the goals related to construction. We just finalized acquiring the rights way for that project. We're on the final stages of putting ITBs out and so on. That's going to be led to construction next year. It's one of the goals. And as I promised, you will have a different vision when you see Uruguay being in front of you. You're going to be able to see the project styles, the scope of the project, plans on the project, and the cost of the project, the schedule, and so on. then if we have any issues, we're gonna post it right there as well, because there's a lot of information that goes in and out. If I'll have to share with you the amount of time that it takes to design a project, then to acquire the rights to it, to do all the utility coordination, and then go into actual construction, it is, I'll run out of time if I have to explain all those items.
Understand.
Then when it comes to the roundabouts that you mentioned on Campbellton Road, Jones Road, and DeMooney Road, those two are managed by Georgia DOT, as well as the roundabout at Butner and Campbellton Road, managed by Georgia DOT. But the one that's coming ahead is the Butner over at Campbellton, that roundabout, the bigger roundabout. Then you mentioned paving Jones Road. I believe the ads to pave it, it will be a matter of ensuring that the community is on board of what they want to do, and Public Works will be ready to assist on that endeavor. We'll have to design the project. It's not going to be a quick fix project, but it has to be designed. We got to look into stormwater issues on Jones Road, and then pave it properly so that we don't have to be maintaining years after.
So we're not, because I think originally what I'd heard a year or so ago before I was here was that we were going to pave that section of Jones Road when DOT put in the roundabout there. That's still not the case, and of course, that's the area where the gentleman got killed earlier this year. So that's, of course, is some talk in the community even up to now. And one school reopened the other day. Yeah, some people came asking questions about paving that road again. So that's one is on us. We're not necessarily waiting on GOT to do that.
No, sir. That will be on us, and I will be glad to discuss with you and the community. And if that's the desire, I believe it's a good option. We're going to have a roundabout at that location, and we can always move the design and start making the proper plans for the future of Jones Road.
I think that's one that you probably need to let them be. I know you may not be there at the town hall, but they should be prepared to talk about, because there's lots to talk about it right now. The other thing is, and I know this one is new. I've had some recent calls and emails too about Cedar Grove Road, because the traffic and the speed of the traffic there is getting more and more. We know we've seen some of the accidents there. Even though the one from this one, when the person got killed, they were actually driving along Cedar Grove Road, South Fulton Parkway. But nonetheless, I know we have the DRI on that project going on right now at the corner, and I don't know what they're going to eventually do. I know when we talk about McClure Road, which intersects Cedar Grove Road, you and I mentioned possibly that corner may have to change directions a little bit up or something. But if there's anything that we can do in the near future to sort of temper the speed on Cedar Grove Road, I think that is something that we need to look at, because it's really wild. And there are more and more people walking along that Cedar Grove Road without much sidewalks to begin with. So that's one that I would ask that if we could look at as well when we're looking at doing this McClure Road thing with Union City.
Right. As one of our goals for the city and Public Works Transportation is to do our road classification as something that Fulton must have done it maybe 15 years plus ago, but it is one of our goals to do our road classification again for the first time for the city, and that will dictate many things. Might be the opportunity to consider posted speed limits and others, but we're going to pursue that avenue this year.
And my final comment is something that you mentioned about the roundabout at Butner Road and Stonewall Tell, because I have one resident that called me ever so often and said, when that is going to finish. I passed there and there are two guys working, I heard you spoke about it recently. It sounds as if the lack of what is being perceived as men working there is as a result of the type of work that was being done. They were doing like utilities. So in other words, when a project like this is on, I guess the perception of the public is that a lot of people have to be there every day trying to get it finished. But it doesn't seem as if that has been the case now for a little bit.
That's correct. It's like we have Greystone power lines on the middle of the roundabout. And then on those power lines, there were AT&T or Comcast hanging in there. So Greystone finished that stuff. Then I had to wait for AT&T. I had to wait for Comcast. They finished it. Then finally, the poles were removed. There's no more poles now. Then AGL, Atlanta Gas Line, had to relocate some gas lines throughout the project. They had to tap into new areas, redesign their gas lines and so on. So they finished that too. And right now, we are ready to start moving again at a full steam with the project. One of the roundabouts is we're about to pour concrete. A mixed design for concrete is a specialized mixed design that Georgia DOT had to provide the approvals. So we just can't go and pour concrete. So it was just approved last week. It has to be ordered. It has to be properly done and so on. So I don't want to skip anything because we have to rush. We want to do it right for the city. Unfortunately, it's taking a little longer. And we learn from those mistakes, from those issues that we have with utility companies and others. And for future projects, that's what we're doing. We have to bump it up, make sure that we find those utility companies accountable for. One of the issues is that the personnel changes among those groups. You can deal with a project manager today, and then suddenly he's not there. So the issues escalate, and the delays are under us. That we're the public services trying to provide the best services, but sometimes we don't have all the tools on our hands to resolve all the needs.
Okay. Thank you much.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna recognize Dr. Rao. On a light note, though, I do just want to remember Councilwoman Gumb's gender-neutral ordinance. We can have men and women working in our roadways, and they can be project managers. Women can do whatever they want here in the city of South Fulton. I just want to acknowledge that. Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I don't want to kind of rehash what everybody said. I agree with a lot of what I heard today by my colleagues on council. One area I want really there to be a closer look at is C-Click Fix. At one time, I think it was, working really well. I think, and I think somebody may have mentioned, you may need somebody who just manages that, because I think some of the requests are not now being routed to the appropriate department. And sometimes you can see that they're going back and forth departments. I know I've had to follow up on some requests that, residents had entered in C-Click Fix, and I can see based on the comments, it seems like it's just being batted back and forth between two departments. So I think that has to be looked at, and we might need to be more specific in some of the descriptions in C-Click to, get us there so that it's routing properly the first time. For example, like trees in a right-of-way versus private property, those kind of things. So that's one thing. The other area, I don't know, can you address what will be done as it relates to trees? I know we had previous conversations about, it might be more effective for us to have a team that could deal with the trees, because we have a lot of them. Some need to be cut down, addressed in the right of way and in our parks. And I know we had been using contractors to deal with that in the past, and bringing that in-house might be more cost effective if we had a crew that can deal with that. What was the final decision? Where are we on that? Can somebody speak to that?
Well, I can provide you an update if we, on what we've done with trees this year. The goal is really to do tree trimming during the winter when things are down. So, but this year we've done a Cascade Palmetto, Old Fairmont Road, Cascade Road, and Bitsaya Road. We spent about $200,000. So as part of my budget, I still have money to do the same exercise next year, but we're going to do other corridors that need to be trimmed. If we hire in-house, specialized item, you need heavy equipment, proper equipment to do all that kind of work, to trim and to mobilize and so on. At this point, I don't believe we are fully equipped with what we would like to do, but it will be something that we can consider for the future.
Okay. Yeah, I really do think that we need to figure out how to optimize that, because we have tree issues in parks and not just the right of way, and for those kind of dollars, you could definitely have a team of people working to try to address some of that. So I hope we will look at that. We love trees in Southwood, so they're not going anywhere and they need to be maintained.
Right.
The other question I had, it seems like between our issues, I think, overall we've done really well on the transportation. I think it's the capital improvement projects, and they were moving. I know, I had several meetings with Mr. Dana, and I know he's not there, but it seems like we're getting the roadblocks are on the facility side of the house, while transportation may be moving. That's where we seem to really need the project management that many people have talked about on this call. And can you tell me how many people we now have in Public Works? I know we did some hiring, but what's your total now? I know it was like 4 before. How many people are in Public Works now?
We got back up.
Is it 10, maybe?
Now for Public Works, after the approval on the mid-year budget that you have, we have 18.
But how many are hired?
Higher, we have, let's see, here's one. Just give me 1 second, please.
Okay. I don't know. That seems like some of it. I know we're in a transition from, bringing folks on board, because I know I saw a number of jobs still listed on the city's website. So I know you haven't hired for all of them, but that might be some of our, seems like we're in a transition as it relates to that. But I do think looking at tree trimming, a dedicated person to deal with C-Click-Fix. And at one point when they were doing C-Click-Fix, they were doing a really good job of showing pictures. So like when they completed it, they took a before and after, or of course the before picture might have been there because somebody uploaded it. But when you fixed it, the picture was there. I think we need to go back to that level of detail. Even when Code does a really good job when they go in the system, they'll say, they'll give you the case number. Like, yeah, it was a valid code violation, and it's, even though you may not know the income, the outcome, that it's going through the process because it has a assigned code case. And then I guess you can go look on there and see all the code cases, which they have on there, the code enforcement page on our city's website. So you can really track those. I think we just got to get to that with some of the other departments.
Right, you stand correct. Just to give you an example, an average of 2,000 entries into C-Click-Fix. Out of those, about 450 related to Public Works. It still is a high number, but we still need to do a better job. It's just that C-Click-Fix needs a full looked at in detail to ensure that our residents, when they have to request an item, they should be able to request specifically from a drop-down menu, exactly what they're looking for. And then upon that receiving, that information needs to go directly to a PM. The PM organize that and get those results immediately. The problem that we have here is that some have issues that out of scope, in the scope, is get pushed from different locations. I wanna be able to handle this stuff. You will receive a call, it's a cyclic fix, it's a safety item, it's handled between 48 hours or not, or within 24 hours. If it's a maintenance item, we'll get it done. We should be able to provide within a week or so. If it's a capital project, then we'll explain what the issue is and why it's going to take longer to do so. We shouldn't be having more than 3 categories in my mind: safety, maintenance, and capital. When you ask your question for how many staff that we have, currently we have for transportation 17 people, 4 vacant positions, and 4 coming out on a new request that we have. For solid waste, we have 1, and we have 2 vacant positions and 1 coming up. And for general services or facilities, we have 6 on hand. Then there are 4 vacant positions and 2 new requests that we have.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
So maybe 10 people that are currently in the seats, even though we funded it in the budget. I was just trying to keep up with maybe 10 people. Would you say
for facilities?
Just your department in general. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about contractors. I'm saying it's city employees.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So
I think that's the area, and then I'll wrap it up. You know that this is with C-Click Fix. It needs to be some focused effort across multiple departments to fine tune the categories and C-Click Fix, and make sure that it's somebody manning each of those department requests when they come in, so that, you know, if the primary way that the public can get a call or response is through C-Click Fix, it has to be operating at optimal level, period.
Absolutely.
It just has to.
Yes, I totally agree with you, ma'am.
Okay, I don't have anything else. We've covered a lot in Public Works, and I know we got a couple more presentations.
I actually have several questions.
Okay.
So, the first thing is, and this has been touched on, but I do just want to emphasize it. When you add in the federal spending, the T-SPLOS, the URA, and all the other spending, this is the largest department in our city by far. And if the fire department and the police department have public information officers, this is a department that definitely needs a PIO that can update us with graphics and timelines about all of these things. Over the years, circling back to this issue with the sidewalks, and if I could share my screen, Mr. Clerk, that would be great. Going back to these issues of the sidewalks on Old National, it's been at least 3 years that we have been talking about this issue, and to hear that we have not finished even the right-of-way acquisition, step 1, in 3 years. I'm sure if we go back and look at some of these meetings and some of these graphics that we have, we would see that right-of-way acquisition was supposed to be complete by before 2022. And so that's very troubling. I am on the Public Works website of the city now. When I go to the T-SPLOS section, I do see all of the lists of the T-SPLOS project, but you talked about being able to see maintenance schedules. There is nothing here. It
should be the maintenance schedule is it is on the webpage, I believe. As soon as you open it up, it's the maintenance schedule is listed.
I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm here on the website. There's nothing here. When I click on maintenance schedule, nothing pops up. So just having somebody, just underlining, having somebody be able to keep these things updated and keep a history of when we originally said something was going to be completed, like right of way acquisition, to when it is actually completed, and how that throws all the other schedules off would be super important. Following up on Councilwoman Raoul's question about staffing, that you're asking for, going back to slide 64, if you will, you're asking for 7 additional people, and then there may be 4 or 5 people on top of that that are empty positions that we need to be filled. We are in our budget, and I just need to be clear about how we are moving forward. We are bringing in-house all of the services that Jacobs provided, and we are doing that by the end of their contract, which is September 30th. So in the next 6 weeks, we are bringing in-house these like $12 million worth of services.
So the approach here is, as I describe in detail in a presentation that I've done it on in the retreat, which I have a more detailed presentation that I can do on how we're going to do it. It's a hybrid approach. So give the experts to what they do, so we can receive a fair price and a fair services. Subsidize with our staff what it cannot be done. We're doing very well with the FIB. We're leaving that aside, FIB. We were doing 196 miles at every 4 weeks. Now we have a contractor that's going to do 212 miles with proper scope of services at every 2 weeks. We don't have to worry about personnel. We don't have to worry about fuel. We don't have to worry about equipment. We don't have to worry about a facility. So that's going to be covered. A main area that will be covered by others. When it comes to the other aspects of transportation and traffic engineering, capital support, project management, our signals down, improvements, and so on, we will have in-house, not in-house, we will have another consultant that has the expertise to provide those services.
So
we'll be fully equipped at a 24/7 for all the major needs that we have. In the meantime, we have hired staff in-house already that are providing the services, and we're asking 4 more people. 4 more people. The rest of the staff will come in because we're interviewing already. But the 4 people, we only have 4 people that are asking for 2023.
And so the short answer is, we're not actually bringing everything in-house. We're still going to be contracting some things out to other people. And those are the piggyback contracts that we are seeing coming up on our council meeting agendas.
One is an due to an ITB. The other one's a piggyback agreement, which is it is a substantial asset for us, since it cuts a lot of time on the procurement. A piggyback agreement is not different when somebody else advertises. You just have the benefit of not advertising, the benefit of getting better prices, cutting a lot of time on procurement and others. And you already have the ability to observe what they've done it and so on. That you know if it's a good contractor, it's a bad contractor, look at reputation, look at what they've done, and research many things. Based on those things, yes, you decide to do a piggyback agreement. A case being is like we brought Wade Coots for doing stormwater support for standby. We need something, a major work. We hire them, and guess what? We pay half of what we were paying before. We pay half to what we pay now others. So my goal as a public works director to you all is to save funding for the city of South Fulton, to provide better services for the city of South Fulton, and to enhance and bring public works to the highest level.
All right, that brings me to my next question. You talked about stormwater and inventorying our problem areas. Are we not inventorying our entire stormwater system? Is that what is required by the state?
It's a requirement by EPD that has to be done every 5 years. So the city of South Fulton just became an LI type 2 approved by EPD. So the first year we've done it 20%. Next year we've done 40%. So we're now at 60% inventory. If we look now at our GIS, we can see all the inventory of all our stormwater. So it's our goal not to wait to next year, is to complete the 40% on 2023. So we will be at 100% inventory of our stormwater. So, and also have the capabilities at their inventory. When there's a failure on our lines, stormwater lines, we're going to videotape. And then if we need to come out with a project, yes, we will come out with a project. Currently, we have a backlog of projects that needs attention, capital projects for stormwater, without necessarily inventory. Those are just by doing field visits or doing the right-of-way maintenance where we encounter issues. We do have a backlog, and we have been addressing as we can. But the overall investment and under stormwater, we want to come up with a master plan for stormwater, like any other city does, and display what the needs are and how we're going to fund stormwater in the future.
All right, and the cost of building materials or construction materials, I listened to these business reports, rose 20% last year. What percentage increase have we built into our budget for these upcoming projects?
So perhaps when we've done our projects, our estimated projects, so we're bumping that up as well, about 15 to 20% in some instances. When it comes to resurfacing, we haven't led projects to resurfacing. As you can see, 2 years before, we've done it intelligently with prices of 2 years ago, worth of two years of resurfacing with older prices. But this year, we knew that the cost was extremely high, and a primary reason that we didn't want to let any project for resurfacing. We will wait until gas prices get stabilized, and then we'll let some of those projects to as we see how the economy moves with gas. But the other projects that are capital, yes, there's a contingency applied to it.
All right, and speaking, going back to this issue of staffing. First, let me ask, where is our C-Click Fix and 311 call center? Whose department is that under? Is that under Public Works?
I would say yes for the entire city, but we don't have full control because it's not ours. Our goal is to do a different C-Click Fix. Our goal is to do what we've done before. We resolve the issues between 8:30 and 5 p.m. Anything that is an emergency, we will have our standby staff support, like we've done in the past for traffic, for infrastructure. If there's an emergency, they will be on site. In the past, an emergency, you get a call, 911 gets a call, there's a number, we get the answer, we respond. We assess the issue, we bring more forces. If it's a simple issue, we resolve right there. We have consultants, we have contractors, but we will react on those on that mode much quicker and much more effective. Right now, C-Click Fix is housed by Jacobs, and it's done not necessarily in town. It's out of town.
All right. They also do our call center, right? The actual.
Yes, sir.
All right. I remember this seems like eons ago now. When Joy Marshall was here, they were getting like 1,800 to 2,000 calls a month. If they manage the call center, what happens on October 1 when people call 472-5311?
So if we think about it, C-Click Fix should be an item when there's a need when there is a need to pothole repair, we react. A signal down, a sign down, a sinkhole down. Those items that that are a safety issue that somebody can take a picture, make the report, send it out. But if you call, I didn't find Mr. Valenzuela on sick leave fix, that's not a call for sick leave fix. So we will have staff for Public Works to respond to those calls. When there's a call for power issues, we will have our proper personnel. When there's a call for solid waste, we will go to the proper personnel to respond to those issues that are required.
So I want to be clear. You are saying that within the Public Works Department, on October 1, when Jacobs is gone, Public Works will be taking over the C-Click Fix call center.
We're working with GIS, with IT. We will work with the city manager to strategize exactly how they want to do the rest of the departments. In fact, the main the department that needs the immediate attention is fire. It goes to 911. PD goes to 911. Public Works goes to 911 as well after hours. And then the other departments, I believe they should be able to respond when they get a call, and it should be going into sick leave fix.
Okay. I was sent here by some residents, so I just got to say it the way that they've said it to me. Like,
Absolutely, yes, sir.
We need to work on it, and I cannot. If we are bringing services in house, if we are setting up sanitation service, we have got to have that call center staffed. And whatever the staff is now, we need to double it. We probably need to triple it, according to what I am hearing from constituents about how long it takes, if somebody answers the phone, if things are getting resolved. Like if we are saying we're doing all of this stuff as a city now, that when people call the city, somebody has got to answer that phone 24/7, and because whatever calls don't get answered or don't get satisfied, they actually roll over to mayor and council. That's where they go. So I just can't emphasize that enough. I'm very concerned about that.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, and we have discussed that with IT. They have all their ideas as well. They don't think that it's a major issue and how it can be resolved. They do have other ideas as well.
Okay.
I think we had talked about too, Mayor, just actually, because from my understanding, and Antonio, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that Jacobs contracts out the service anyway. So we want to be able to, I guess, take over that contract for the call center. Is that right, Antonio? Is that, or am I? Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't they contract out the call center?
They own their call center, but it doesn't operate from Georgia. It's I think it's in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But we discussed that internally, how we've done it before. I think there's other ways, and we should agree amongst all departments on how we can handle a call center. There are different ways. The call center is not the only way we can resolve. But I agree with the mayor. Our role is to ensure that we can respond properly and avoid escalating issues to others.
All right, well, thank you. Y'all got 6 weeks to figure it out. The land administrator, you talked about them, and they help maintain the accuracy of our maps. Now, is that under Public Works or is that under CDR, Community Development?
The land administrator will help out to administer the acquisition of the facilities that we have, the acquisition of the rights of way that we have, who is administering those things, where are all those new rights of way that we have. It is, and then possible, it's one step ahead, that when we do future projects, then perhaps we have much better results by administering our own rights way and directing and have a better eye on our projects when it comes to rights way acquisition.
All right, a couple more quick things. This is just a request. We don't have to go into it, but we are talking about traffic planning. We are supporting a grand opening of a medical facility right there at in Cascade Promenade at Cascade and Kimberly. And when I went to preview the center, they told me about the number of accidents that they have been seeing. We just had another big one yesterday. I think we need a light there, whatever traffic study or whatever needs to be done.
Yes, sir. It's done. We're going into the design, and then after the design is completed, we'll go into construction on Cascade Road at Kimberly Mill Road.
There is one coming.
Yes, sir.
All right. Speed bumps. How many of them have we installed?
As you know, the traffic calming ordinance approved by mayor and council, that's what dictates traffic calming. We only install at one location throughout the city. The rest of locations, it has to meet the ordinance. We have done different studies. We have done different traffic counts and so on. We have met with several communities, but they have to go by the ordinance. It's not necessarily on us. It is sometimes into the record stores that need to comply and follow ordinance.
So just to be clear, with that $1 million fund, we have thus far installed one set of speed bumps.
Well, with Public Works received $445,000 for what we call the school zone pedestrian safety funding program. Between those dollar amounts, we spend money for this school zone traffic maintenance, and then we allocated funding for each district. But in between those, we put money for flashing stop signs, speed readers, traffic count studies, traffic calming designs, and minor construction costs. As I mentioned before, it's coming to you for your approval of 28 speed readers, 4 per district. It's coming out at the next council meeting. As soon as you approve, we approve with the vendor. Hopefully they get on hand, and soon you'll have other items coming up. And what funding are we going to use? The school zone that we have.
So you said you received $435,000. Ms. Dixon said that you received $1 million. Help me understand the discrepancy there.
It is for 445, and that's what I have on. Let me give you exactly what.
On the line, is she available?
I have it 449,205, and I think the rest don't know exactly how it was distributed amongst PD and us.
Ms. Dixon, are you available?
Yes, I'm on the line. Are you speaking, Mayor, in regards to what we're allocating for FY23 coming up?
No, I'm talking about we have heard that to date $4 million have been collected in the school safety zone cameras, and a quarter of that, which is $1 million, is supposed to go to this pedestrian safety program. But it sounds like what I'm hearing from Mr. Valenzuela that only $435,000 is gone. So I'm just
okay. All right. And in the past, Mayor, as we said, the $4 million was actually put into the general fund budget. So it was actually used to balance the overall budget. So it was not broken down based on the districts and going to public works and public safety like it should have been. So that's why in the FY23 budget, we are proposing that it is broken down so that you can see it. Because right now that $4 million is being used to basically operate the general fund as a whole.
all right. So I'm even more concerned because this legislation created a reserve fund, did it not, for that $1 million?
it should have been set up for that way, but it was not set up that way in the past. So we're having to correct it moving forward for FY23.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna move on from that because that I am extremely disappointed. The Adopt the Road program. Is there money in the budget? I've been getting requests from people who have created Adopt the Road programs with the city, and when it had been done with the county, money was given to these adoptees. I don't know, money was given specifically, but supplies were made available to these adoptees for their programs. Have we funded an Adopt the Road program in this new budget?
Well, what we're doing, Mr. Mayor, is that we're following ordinances approved by mayor and council. The ordinance by itself, it spells out what they have to do, what they have to comply, and what does the city is going to provide. In accordance with that ordinance, we are providing to the approved adoptees. We're providing them exactly what the ordinance says. Then if we want to amend the ordinance and being able to provide them all additional things of what we have under the Adopt the Road program, I will definitely like to take a look at, and with your support, we can always amend that program and ensure that we follow those guidelines and provide what the ordinance mandates.
So just want to be clear, you're saying we're not giving any money to adoptees because there's nothing in the ordinance stating that we have to, but we just
we don't provide money, but we have provided them pickers. We provide vests, safety vests and pickers.
All right, but we need to. It sounds like we need to make some more changes. All right, the last thing is the green team. I know the courts is coming up next. Under our former solicitor / former court administrator, LaDon Blackett Jones, we were told that the only problem with the green team was that we did not have paid staff on weekends to supervise the cleanups. But for this staffing issue, the courts was ready to go ahead with the green teams. If that is the case, I know we're going to hear from courts in a minute. If that is the case, do we have staff available in this new public works budget? Because these are people who could be cleaning up right now, that just the only reason they're not doing it is because we don't have anybody.
Well, in my experience in the past, we had different issues on my prior jobs. Issues with the staff. I'm on the green team and staff were picking them up. So there's some items that we should be concerned with. Who's going to supervise them? Who's going to pick them up? Who's going to drop them off? And ensuring that everybody's going to maintain the proper workmanship and so on. So it's a program that it could work, but it has to be looked at in more detail and ensure that everybody has its own responsibilities on how to handle it.
All right. I see Councilman Sebastian has his hand raised. Go ahead, Mr. Sebastian.
Mr. Mayor, I want to revisit the conversation with the call center a little bit. I don't mean to prolong this, but if we're 6 weeks out and we have not really looked into setting up that call center, I think we really need to be careful how we approach this, because we could find ourselves without a call center after we end this contract. And I'll just leave it right there.
I'm taking notes, and will be my first discussion after this meeting with IT and city manager.
Thanks, sir.
All right. We will continue with our courts.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Is Ms. Dion Dixon on?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. You ready for me?
Yes, ma'am, you can proceed.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I am Deon Dixon. I am the court administrator, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. And we're going to discuss my accomplishments in my first 7 months of being here. And first, I have educational development. And under that, just to let you all know that within the first 45 days, and it was actually within 30 days, that I completed the mandatory clerks training. And that was 16 hours of mandatory clerks training. And I would also like to say that my case manager has also actually she's coming up, but I do have 2 staff members that have been here for a little bit of time, and they will actually be coming up for their new certification as well. And then next on my list, I also, within the 90 days of employment, I obtained my tax certification. And that tax certification is to keep us in compliance with GBI and, when we come up for auditing purposes. And also my case manager is also tax certified as well, which is extremely important. So we have 2 people within municipal courts that are certified for tax purposes. And lastly, under educational development, courtesy of Chief Jones, I completed the diversity and inclusion training. And what I have learned in that particular training is something that I will speak with my staff in our next meeting to discuss ways that we can improve on being inclusive and have diversity in courts. And then next, under court workforce management, I have, which is extremely important. I just kind of listened to what was going on. Since I've been in office, I have significantly decreased the response time to C-Click-Fix and court clerk email response. I am personally at this time responsible for responding to the C-Click-Fix. And as a matter of fact, within the last couple of months, I actually cleaned up, it was probably thousands of messages that were left when I came into office. So at this particular point, we are actually on schedule. I would say that I would like to give a lead time, a response lead time of about 72 hours. But to be very candid with you, we are responding within 24 to 48 hours. And that's not only the C-Click-Fix, but that is also the court clerk email. And the court clerk email is also a separate avenue for people to reach municipal court when they need something from us. And next, I instituted new processes for ensuring that the citations are processed efficiently and accurately. So when I got here, I noticed that we were having some issues with getting citations in. We were getting a lot of phone calls from people asking, what was going on, when was their court date. And so as a result of just kind of sitting back and paying attention to what was going on, I just established new processes that needed to be in place to make sure that when those citations came in, that we got those in and we accurately and efficiently processed them. So I believe the lead time, and part of the issue I think with courts was that they had a lot of staffing issues. Just the lack of staff was, one concern. So, and I will address that later on as far as some of the things that I've done from a human resource standpoint. And so also under the management portion, I reduced, along with my staff, we reduced an extensive backlog of school zone cases. I believe during your last budget hearing, the interim court administrator let you all know that there were at that particular time 2,400 school zone cases that were backlogged. I'm happy to report that we have gotten that down to about 900 backlog cases of school zone. And what I will say is that in March, shortly after I got here, we sat down, the judge, myself, case manager, and staff, and we did what I would like to call a sweep, is where we had The judge, along with 2 of our pro tem judges, come in for a week, and we ran 3 courtrooms every day for the entire week. We processed over 2,600 cases that week. So not only did that include the backlog of school zone cases, but that also included the current cases that were actually coming in. And so also what I saw when I came in is that there was a backlog of bind over cases to state and superior court. So during that time, I had the opportunity to meet with Solicitor Gamage of Fulton County State Court, and also the solicitor that we have here, Solicitor Sears. We had a great meeting, and we just had a meeting of the minds where we came up with a process to go ahead and get those cases moved over to him quickly. And so not only did we clear up the backlog of bind over cases that were due to his court and to state court and to superior court, we came up with a process whereas we made an agreement that we would ensure that the cases that we heard for that week were immediately processed, and that Solicitor Gamage has an investigator that comes over every week, which I believe is Monday or Tuesday, and they actually handpick those cases up instead of us sending them out by courier. So to go over to the human resources portion of my slides is that during my time here, I solicited and recruited new personnel, and that includes 4 employees. So I'm happy to say, although we do have 1 vacancy currently open, at that particular time, as the chief judge told me, it was the first time that municipal court had been fully staffed. So we will be looking for a new person to join courts very shortly. So, and also, excuse me, I created a positive work environment for court employees that emphasizes fair employment decisions to enhance job satisfaction. And what I mean by that is I just really sat down, we actually meet a lot, and to let the staff know that, you know, I have open communication in the office. And I just felt like, you know, just from things that I've heard in the past, that we needed to make a few changes, and just to let them know that, you know, I'm here for them. I am a workhorse. I want to get in and work with them and do what they're doing as well. And just for us to kind of get together and move forward. And I think that we've done that. And also under that prong, I've put completed performance evaluations for employees employed prior to October the 2021. And we do have 2 employees that have been here. One has been here for, I think, a little less than a year. And the case manager has been here probably close to almost 5 years. So I was able to accomplish that as well during my short time here. Next slide, please. Next slide. Or am I supposed to move it? I'm not sure. Okay. Thank you. Okay, and under case administration, to continue to expand programs for diverting qualified defendants to reduce recidivism in the community. As many of you are probably aware, we do have a shoplifters course, but I'm working very closely with Solicitor Sears to implement a couple of more diversion programs. One that I'll say that she has approached me about is for teen drivers. So that is something that we are collaborating on, and hopefully once everything is finalized, we will be implementing that soon. And part of that program is really to address teenagers who actually have traffic violations, and instead of them just being found guilty and getting their licenses suspended, they will have to go through this particular program. And once they have successfully completed that program, then the citation or the violation will be removed, and then they will have a clean slate. And also a big hot topic would be, is in an effort to reduce school zone violations, more effort is needed to educate the community. So my goal here with this is, and I know this is really a hot topic for people in the community, is I would like to just maybe be able to do more things, maybe on social media, get with Gary's office, and just let people know the I guess from the standpoint of the courts is that the meaning of the school zone issues really is the safety of the kids. And there may be some things that from other standpoints that maybe need to look at, but I think I would just really like to focus on educating the community about why the school zone cameras are in place and why there is a need for those cameras. And next, and to ensure that the courts are more accessible to Spanish-speaking attendees and language-impaired defendants. This is very important to us as well. And actually, we had some challenges with this. So, you know, my goal is to enhance what we already have. So, you know, when we have court, we have videos that play, and of course, they're in English, but we do have a lot of defendants that come in that are Spanish speaking. Now, let me be clear, we do use language lines. So we do have an avenue that we can use when facilitating the court process. But I think that we can maybe do a little better and transition into just making it more easy for the attendee and also for the staff. And in doing so, you know, I would like to, you know, everything that we have in English, I would like for that to be translated into Spanish just with greater ease. And then even the staff and I were talking today that there's a possibility of us maybe coming up with a separate calendar and coordinating with language lines to have someone specifically come in, and I can address that later as well when we talk about in-person court, but maybe we can have an interpreter come in and it would just make the process move a little quicker. And so my next is to facilitate the timely disposition of cases by assisting the judge with case flow management. And since I've been a court administrator here, I have monitored the movement of cases and noticed that there was a need for some changes. So I implemented changes as a result of cases being entered in a timely manner. And once we get those cases entered in a timely manner, then we will be able to process and have a disposition for those cases sooner and get them resolved. And so I said, continue to monitor the movement of cases from the initial citation to the final disposition to ensure that there are no backlog of cases. And so it's a continued goal, but I will say that this seems to be running really smooth. And what I'm speaking about here really is that how the process has gone. You know, so the police come by and they bring us the citations, and basically, you know, I ensure that the staff is getting those in quickly and then getting them on the calendar. And as I said, so then we can avoid having a backlog of cases. So as far as human resource management, provide opportunities for training, development, and continuing education for court employees to facilitate the success throughout the organization. And I would just like, the big goal of mine is, and actually we were talking about this today as well, maybe looking into courts taking some additional, taking some conversational Spanish classes, so we can better assist, you know, attendees in court as well. And then also just, you know, additional clerk training classes. So also, let's see, to update existing policies and procedures and create new policies as needed. As we all know, the city has been in existence for 5 years, and it just takes a little bit of time to kind of go over the policies. And being that I have been in for 7 months, there have been a lot of changes that I've made. So that's a part of my goal, is to actually just really get a chance to sit down and create, not only I have created policy, but to also put those on paper. So to foster a positive work environment foster a positive work environment by implementing innovative incentives. What I'd like to do is to just come up with some creative ideas, really to keep the staff happy. I just think that we work really hard, and they work very hard. We're in court several days a week, and it's very long. It's a very long process. So just to kind of come up with some ways some incentives for us to continue to do what we're doing. Customer service, I'll just go over the 2 prongs because it's kind of all one and the same. Ensuring the highest level of customer service to all citizens that require assistance from the courts, and to provide impartial and accurate information while making the court process trustworthy and consistent. And basically, when I came in, I did hear from several people some complaints, about customer service in courts. That is something that I have that is true to my heart, is that you treat people how you want to be treated. That has been conveyed to the staff, and I truly believe that they believe the same thing. So, and then also, that second part of that is just to make sure that we are always providing impartial and accurate information without giving legal advice. So, sometimes it's very hard, but that's something that we have to continue to do. And continue to provide various avenues of access to people in need of court services 24 hours, 7 days a week. As I've heard you all speak just to Antonio about that as well. So that is very, very important to us. So that one of those avenues is C-Click Fix. And the other avenue that we have is the court clerk email. So anytime someone can just go onto the website, if they need to get in contact with us, they send us an email, and then we respond. Next, we're going to go to is office space. To obtain office and courtroom space for in-person hearings, we are no longer under a judicial emergency. So it is just imperative that we obtain some sort of courtroom space to hear some of these cases in person. Let me be clear that we are totally virtual, and we do want to remain partially virtual. I think that it's an extremely good idea, and that process has worked very well, but we do need courtroom space to be able to assist people who are not technically savvy. We do have a community of people that, just don't have the proper cell phones and just are not able to get on, or really need to be in person. And the chief judge also wanted to go ahead and bring a few things back in-house. Although we do handle misdemeanor cases, some of those cases may require someone to be arrested or be taken to jail. So it's really difficult to do that from a virtual standpoint. So we would like to be able to do that in-house. And then also just to continue working with the city manager, assistant city manager in economic development to identify a viable workspace for court employees. So in looking for courtroom space, we are also looking for office space. And just to kind of touch on that, myself and Artie, who has been just extreme help to myself and the judge, we've already started. So we had some opportunity yesterday to go look at a couple of places for courtroom and office space. And we are scheduled to meet with some additional people on tomorrow. Next slide. And as you can see, the personnel budget just has gone up a little bit, but I believe that it has gone up because of the contracts. So that I kind of just changed some dynamics around, and that basically is to cover the long-term contracts. So that would be one with Solicitor Sears and the judge. And as you can see, the purchase contract services have gone down a little bit, and then supplies have gone up a little bit, but that would just be because to account for the additional staff that we have. So next slide. And as you can see, I'm not asking for any additional staff. I believe that once I get my vacant space filled, that we will be good to go for this upcoming budget year. So I'm not requesting any additional staff. And thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm ready for your questions.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Questions?
Thank you, Mayor.
I was just asking a follow-up question about the green team. Where what is your opinion about that? Is this just dead? Do we just need to give up on this?
Let me be very candid with you, Mayor. So this is really the first I'm kind of hearing of the green team, and I did have to reach out to my case manager, and she did explain to me that it was, because I don't want to, kind of leave out information, but I'm being very candid. So from my understanding that it has to do with community service in the courts, but I think it was suspended because of COVID. So that's kind of really all the information that I have at this time. If you'd like, I can always, follow up with you all, about that.
That's fine. I would ask, it sounds like Mr. Valenzuela may have his own concerns about it. It was another popular and successful program. Our residents liked it, so I'll let you all work that out. I would also check with Judge Jones, who instituted the program. She could give
Okay. Absolutely.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for recognizing me. And you pretty much asked the question, but then I also just want to make this statement is thank you for your service and what you're doing with the courts. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and Councilwoman Willis.
Yes, I just want to remind, because we keep talking about this green team and a way to reduce litter and pick up litter. I just want to remind, we all took I hope all of us took the municipal court classes through GMA. One of the things that they warned us about is that we are not supposed to use these type of diversion programs to account for our operations budget. Now, I understand the Go Green team is a good thing that residents like, and it's a good way to have people pay their debt to society, but it is not supposed to compensate what we're supposed to budget and what we're supposed to do with our tax dollars. That is exactly what we're not supposed to be doing. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we will go on to our next. Thank you, Administrator Dixon. We'll go on to
Thank you.
next in the City Manager's office. And our final presentation of the day. You, Ms. Sadler-Jones.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon again, everyone. Tammy Sadler-Jones, City Manager. I want to start off with some accomplishments, and some of these things many of you have already heard from our retreat that the council and the mayor did back in May, but I did want to just kind of touch upon a few of them. Of course, we implemented the pilot program for the public safety housing allowance program, which the council funded, and we did get some very good participation from our public safety employees. I think we're down to, as of I think even today, one spot, but I know that I had gotten reached out from I believe the fire department that there was some a personnel interested, so hopefully we will have everyone in those spots that were allocated. Of course, during last year, we presented to the council projects to be funded through the American Rescue Plan Act. The city, we got $11.3 million. We got the last of our second allotment several weeks ago. And of course, the council, you all approved the projects that we are using to fund with that particular pot of money. So we do have a team of staff that are meeting consistently to make sure that we are implementing those projects, and we have to have that money used up by 2026. So as you know, we have a lot of things here in the city that we need to do, And the council, you did give me the authority that if we had to have other projects, that I can make that decision. So, of course, one of the things that we're doing is using the money for the parks camera and fire project. To show appreciation for our city employees, the city manager's office, in conjunction with our other directors here in the city, we did Card My Yard signs at each of our city facilities to recognize our staff and show them how thankful and grateful we are for them. And then, of course, during Thanksgiving, we did lunch for our city hall employees. And again, that was in conjunction with our directors who are here in City Hall. And so we always try to do what we can to show our appreciation to our staff. The council, you all approved a 3% pay increase for mid-year. That was done in April. So all eligible employees received that pay increase. And of course, through the funding of ARP, the city, we distributed premium pay to all eligible city employees. This past year, I've had to fill some key department director positions. Our finance director, our court administrator, our economic development director, our community development director. And right after I had gotten a full slew of directors, then, we do have one vacancy at this time. So we will be focused on trying to get that particular Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs director position filled as soon as possible. The staff of team, we collectively worked with the fire union and did the city's first ever collective bargaining agreement, which we talked about a little bit earlier today. And we will follow up with you to make sure that you know all of the responsibilities that on the city's part out of that CBA. And really, probably by the beginning of next year, we will begin sitting down at the table with them again. But as Chief Jones shared with you, there are quarterly management meetings, and I will be participating in those management meetings as well. And then, although this hasn't occurred, we are planning for our first ever job fair and career expo in the city. It's planned for August the 31st, 9 to 1 over at Welcome All. And we really do want to pack the house. So we encourage the council that you all will send information out about the event. And then we're going to do what we can to highly publicize our first ever job fair. Next slide. Oh, okay. I'm hearing this is our second. I apologize. Our second. First since I've been here, though. City Manager's Office, our fiscal year 23 goals and objectives. Again, some of these the council, you have already heard, and also our key staff, our leadership team, they have heard these before too. But of course, COVID is still real. So we will continue to be vigilant and proactive in responding to COVID-19. We're going to be implementing the city manager's vision, mission, and goals. Of course, I did want to share, my vision for the city of South Fulton is that we are one of the nation's most notable cities because of our unique identity, attentiveness to our residents and businesses, full transparency and quality programs and services. Again, this is a vision of mine where I want us to eventually get to. The mission, of course, is based upon the acronym SERVICE, focusing on safety, engaged team members, responsiveness, visionary, inclusiveness, customer-driven, and enhancing quality of life. And so again, I did share this with the council, and I've shared it with our leadership team. And then it's my goal to be working with our communications team to make sure that it is on our website so the public can see it, and also, the rest of our employees. Of course, I did go over my specific goals for my office, and I tried to make sure that those goals that I had aligned with our city's strategic planning goals. Next objective is to recruit and retain highly qualified workforce. Again, I want, focusing on trying to recruit and retain, and that's from all of our city departments. We want to, of course, begin to think about our next phase of our strategic planning process. Our current strategic plan goes from 2020 to 2023. And so hopefully and what I'm going to do in my office is try to fund and do an RFP process so we can go back out and look at using a consultant to do the next phase of the strategic planning. The next thing, of course, is to provide an enhanced leadership training for our supervisors and conduct an extensive leadership training staff retreat. Just yesterday at our department head meeting, I had a consultant that I'm going to be using to come in and do what I call checking the pulse of our organization. And I know that several council members have asked me before, where are we with that process? So that individual was introduced to our leadership team. And so we will begin to institute that process in the next 30 days or so. Well, we want to have it done maybe within the next 30 to 45 days. Again, I want to do a retreat with our leadership team. I do have one of our directors, Mr. Neymar Strickland. He's assisting me with trying to get that plan. We're trying to find the location, and then, of course, use that as an opportunity to do some strategic planning from the department head level, and also just an opportunity for us to, get some additional training if necessary. We'll have somebody come to that particular event as well. Continuous improvement through citywide business process mapping. Again, just trying to be a more efficient and effective city. We got some work to do, but we know that it's an area that we need to improve upon. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, continuing to focus on our American Rescue Plan projects and all the projects that we have going on here in the city. CIP, our T-SPLOST, many of the things that our directors have already shared with you. We want to make sure that we're doing a better job. And as I've heard the council many times say, you want to know, a little bit more about where we are with these projects and trying to do a better job of communicating that to you all and to our 108,000 residents. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, we are in lost negotiations. Lost is the second largest revenue source for our city. And so by law, we're supposed to have lost negotiations done by the end of this year. And so Council Member Dr. Catherine Rowell is on the committee, our city attorney, Vincent Hyman, and myself. And so we will be continuing to update the council and, of course, the citizens on where we are in that process. Next slide. Personnel did go up, and this is one thing that I've communicated to the council that I would like to add a second assistant city manager position here in the city manager's office. Other cities our size, have at least 2 assistant city managers, and because of the work and the responsibilities that go on with this particular office, I do feel like there is a need to have an additional assistant city manager. So that's where you will see the increase. And also we are requesting to add a second special projects manager. Because of the number of projects that we have coming through our department, we want to, reclassify the programs and administration position and make that a second special projects manager position. And that person will be assisting with constituent services and looking at, again, just various projects that we have going on within the city manager's office. And contracted services, I did want to specifically highlight that in that particular line item, the city's lobbyists, we pay for that particular service out of the city manager's office, Andrew Long. And then I do have money in contracted services to do organizational consulting. Anytime there are things, that I need to have somebody come in and assist with, we wanted to have money available for that. My office, along with the city clerk's office, we plan the retreat for the mayor and the council. And so the facilitators that we use, that is also money that comes out of our contracted services department. And with that, if we can go to the next slide. And as you heard me earlier, I want to add a second assistant city manager position. I want to add a second special projects manager position. And then one thing I wanted to highlight, we did once have one receptionist here in City Hall, and that particular person worked in the city manager's office. But there were opportunities or times when that individual needed to take off, and we really didn't have anybody else to cover the front desk. So we decided to eliminate the one full-time position and make two part-time. And so we have two individuals who are now on our team and who are doing a very good job of serving as our City Hall receptionists. So as you will see, our personnel count will remain at 6 people within the city manager's office. And of course, like the other departments that you have already heard from, we did include a cost of living increase for our city employees, and then merit adjustments as well. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll be glad to take any questions.
I will open up the floor for questions. I don't see any in the queue. I know some are coming. I know someone has a question. We can't just give you these 15 minutes. There we go. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor, for recognizing me. Madam Jones, I just wanted to say that I just wanted to take this time. I don't really have a question, but to your leader who is to take us to the next level. And you're going to get some blame, and, and we're going to come, and I know I'm going to come, and sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but we can agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. But I do think that we also should take the time out to celebrate the wins that you do have and that we as a city do have, so we can just maintain and stay on a positive track. And for that, I say thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and second Mayor Pro Tem and say a special thanks for getting backup for our front desk. That is our first impression to people when they come to the city. Well, all right. Wait, Dr. Rao.
I want to commend the department heads on the presentation. I felt like in general, over the last couple of days, we finally have a path forward in terms of really looking at the staffing needs, because I think a lot of our challenges have to do with not being adequately staffed over the last couple of years. So, and I know a great part of that is that we had more, revenue to kind of look at some of these things. But I think between that, the only area that I think part of it is too, we don't have a director. How do we really begin to communicate with the public and begin to think about it from a capital improvement process, how we will operate or begin to implement that park master plan? Mm-hmm. I heard the mayor even ask questions about it. Well, we do have a plan, but of course it costs. I think we got to start moving in that direction. So that's my only thing. But again, overall, I thought the presentations were pretty clear. And of course, we identified some pain points and areas for improvement, but I think it's moving in the right direction.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you. Well, thank you, Madam City Manager. That actually did bring up her comments. Dr. Ross' comments did bring up a question. There were places, and I'm not sure if we have an overview, but there were revenues that were down, and we talked about possible cuts. I don't know if you're willing to talk about it now, if you'd like to wait, but where are you? I saw increases everywhere, I guess, in these department presentations. But I do think it's important to be clear that we will not be able to do all of these increases, or were these department presentations a part of a balanced budget, or in order to balance our budget, are we going to have to make cuts in some of the things that we've seen here today?
Well, the presentations were based upon a balanced budget. However, based upon what we've heard, we will go back and look at areas that we may need to cut. And, it could be the COLA, it could be the merit increases. That's probably where I would start. But, those are things that I'd like for us to be able to possibly keep in. But, I can bring back a recommendation to the council, and, we can go from there. But that'll give me and the team a chance to go back and look at everything.
All right, thank you. Councilman Sebastian.
First of all, thank you again, Madam City Manager. I just want to give a little bit of a, I guess, a bit of a new guy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Council Member Royal in terms of the presentation. This is my first time through, and I would have liked to see a little bit more details in some of the things, so that the questions that we are asking now about possible cuts, in this time when we are talking about prices increasing here, there, and everywhere, I would want to think about us not starting with the benefit to our employees, but look for ways more innovative where we can save some monies and not cut the employees proposed, benefits or increases. I also know that there were some challenges in terms of just starting up my office, and I hope that would be a learning lesson for the people who are coming in after us, whether it's for District 7 or just whenever we have general turnover in the future. I'm happy again at some point in time to sit down and review that whole thing with you and HR, because I think there's some things that we can learn. But on the positive side, I just wanted to also thank the people who I've been leaning on to do some additional work, especially public facing stuff in District 4, whether it's litter picking up, whether it's cutting back the right of ways and doing stuff like giving a little TLC to City Grove Park. And I did go by and thank the people and the workers in person yesterday, and bought them lunch. So I just feel like as if I've not had the best of starts, but it still has been okay. And at times when I do talk about things being better, is not being critical, but I think it's trying to get us to look beyond the norm and get us to be much better than we have been, because I know we can be, right? So again, thank you to you and your team. Looking forward to hearing the results of your strategic planning meeting, the retreat that y'all will have. It for me, it would have been nice to do it before budget, so that we could have heard some more of that stuff coming now out of the budget. But better now than never. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you, Ms. Sala Jones, for bringing us through this budget process, you and your staff. I would say that I would have liked to see a lot of these accomplishments translated into our communications department and projected out to our community. You know, that's where I would like to see these accomplishments. The residents need to know the good that's going on in the city instead of the negativity that's going on in the city. I would like to see in the future our budget meetings be more quantitative, meaning that whatever goals and objectives that staff wants to happen in their departments, we need costs associated with that. We need numbers. We need to know, you know, if this is your objective, then what is the cost? You know, how much is it translated in a budget form? Because that's what we are here for, to make sure that the city is adequately funded to do, to effectuate policies that we put forth. I would like to see this process start sooner. I think this was a lot of information, and for it to be loaded on us from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock this evening in 45-minute intervals, it doesn't give us a lot of time to do deep dives. And so I would like to see this backed up and this process start earlier. And I would also like to probably see it broken up in maybe 3 days versus 2 days, so that we can make sure we really do deep dives into what's needed, and cut down on some of the, as I stated, the I don't want to call it fluff, because it was good to hear what the accomplishments were, but I just think that we need to send that more so in the communications department, or in our town hall meetings when we invite the department heads out. That would be great. It should have been in a state of the city address. So if the mayor doesn't want to do a state of the city next year, the council will be happy to take that task on. Thank you.
Let your heart not be troubled, Councilwoman Willis. I definitely do want to do a state of the city, and we will be having one of those next year.
My heart is never troubled.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In addition to what my colleagues have said, I know that I have said this multiple times, but I'm going to say it again in the hopes that one day we're going to be able to get to this. But in addition to detailed budget information, we really need to have these presentations, and all presentations, all reports, anything that's being submitted to the council needs to be given to us well in advance of when we are going to have to appear publicly to handle it. It is not fair to us to give us something the night before it's going to be presented and think that we have the time to drop everything we're doing to pay attention to a report that's come in at the last minute. I've said it. I'm going to continue to say it. I'm going to continue to expect it. If we're going to be efficient and effective as a council, we need information so that we can be prepared, and perhaps some of the questions that are being asked in real time could have been handled before we get to the presentation. Because often we are seeing this information for the first time along with the public, and that is not fair to us. So please get us the stuff sooner than the night before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rounding out, we've done this round robin here. Rounding it out, we've heard from everyone except Councilwoman Gums.
I have no comments.
Well, thank you. I'm going to close this out again. Thank you all, everyone. This has been a full 8-hour day. I want to echo some of the sentiments of, well, I echo the sentiments of all my council members, but particularly Councilwoman Willis and the discussion about having just more quantitative data in the presentation, and Councilwoman Williams about getting these presentations earlier, not just for us and members of council, but also for our constituents. Most of my questions actually come from constituents, and I think some of my greatest insights have come from them when they are pouring over, and we just have the collective genius of our 108,000 citizens pouring over the documents with us. But we do have a few, on a positive note, we do have several more meetings. We are not going to adopt the budget for another 30 plus days until September 21st. So I do want to just make sure that we get these meetings indexed so that Mr. Hammond, I know you said that you were working on that, so that all of the citizens who are watching these can skip right to the sections or the departments that they believe that they are most concerned about. These conversations have been very illuminating, especially today. And I think one of the I don't quite know how to operationalize this, but I think that there is a tension between our short-term needs and our long-term needs, and that we are still a young city that came from a county that chronically underfunded our facilities and our infrastructure. And so we're playing a lot of catch up, and a lot of the plans that we're making are actually just reacting to those things, and maybe not.
I'm about to hang up. Don't worry about it. I'm about to go.
And not necessarily thinking about long term how we build out our long term solutions. So I'm hoping that in future budget conversations that we are not just looking at next year's budget, but thinking about how it fits into a 5-year or a 10-year budget plan, because we're obviously not going to be able to do everything in every year. But again, thank you all so much, and I will see you at our next council meeting, which is Tuesday at 4 p.m. at Welcome Hall. South Fulton forever.
Correct, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.